They are only talking because they are in the minority and they want to be heard. Otherwise, they have no case at all to be even making noise in this house. The truth of the fact is that the man qualifies, he is competent. In fact, he is the first son from our region, Ahafo, to be elevated to this position. And the people of our region are solidly behind him. And so we urge our colleagues on the other side that you cannot oppose everything on this earth. You were here defending some few days ago. Now you are transforming.
Honorable members, we move on to the next person, and that is the last from the minority caucus, and the leader himself wants to take up that task. So I call on Osahene Afenyo-Markin.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to this debate on the floor. Mr. Speaker, in making my contribution, I would want to, in addition to the report, rely on the certified copy of the verbatim report of proceedings that has been served on my good self by the clerk through the chairman. And for the avoidance of doubt, I would want to make same available to the table office for the record, because I'm going to rely on same. Mr. Speaker, that said, I shall proceed to say that for the first time under the 1992 Constitution, a sitting Chief Justice has been removed pursuant to Article 146 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, that removal effected on 1st September 2025, following recommendation by a committee chaired by His Lordship Justice Gabriel Puaman, has generated unprecedented litigation challenging its constitutional validity, procedural regularity, and legal effectiveness. Critically, several proceedings were filed before Her Ladyship's removal was finalized. These are contemporaneous constitutional challenges asserting fundamental and irredeemable flaws in the Article 146 process. The removal proceeded despite these pending objections. These objections now remain unresolved before multiple courts of competent jurisdiction. Mr. Speaker, we, the minority, hold the view that there has been inconsistency in the approach in this matter, and that if care is not taken, this country that we all seek investment for may not attract that needed investment. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the prima facie findings of the Council of State remain unpublished. Two, as we speak, the very report that recommended...
Honorable Member, I thought your reference to this matter was a matter before the House.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
But what you are talking about is not before the House.
Mr. Speaker, then let me use the phrase well. Let me rephrase it for the purpose of clarity. Mr. Speaker, my submission is to the effect that the matters giving rise for this motion to be taken are such that we, the minority, still believe that there are serious matters for the Constitution of our Republic. Mr. Speaker, and I say so because Today we consider this nomination, and you have made it clear that our approval or otherwise does not bring a finality within the context of the rule of law, which I agree. I'm not contesting that. But it is our view, most respectfully, that one, the fact that the prima facie determination is not in the public space is of concern to us. Two, the fact that the recommendation, the report that gave rise for the final decision of His Excellency the President is also not in the public domain is of concern to us. Mr. Speaker, we contend that for the purposes of transparent democracy, the era where the citizens require information, it should have been an instinctive, inherent decision to have released the report. Because, Mr. Speaker, we hold the view that this was no less a matter because it was dealing with an organ of government, of state, the judiciary. That is our contention. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, as I said, you are complaining about acts of another arm of government.
Mr. Speaker, I hope my time is being stopped.
Not Parliament. Not Parliament.
No.
And those matters are not before Parliament. And so I have consistently guided you and your colleagues to deal with the matter before Parliament. Continue with the others at the proper forum, not the floor of Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, we are not litigating those matters in Parliament, but those matters gave rise to this, what is before us. So what I'm trying to do is to give a background to the very matter before us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Eric Opoku in his submission argues with some force that executive manipulation started in Kufuor era. I found it very rich. And he tries to use that to justify the concerns that we are raising to say that we are acting in double standard. No, Mr. Speaker, in President Kufuor's era, no Chief Justice was removed. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Member,
Mr. Speaker,
please. I don't want us to go beyond what is before us, because many of the things that you say, because many of you were not born early, you don't know, you don't have the information. And in fact, I have bought some books, and I'm going to distribute the books particularly to leaders, so that you read to see the perception that we have given to the people outside there. They are very senior, intelligent people who held high office of state, who have written some books about Ghana politics. I have the books. I bought plenty copies to distribute to you free to read. I believe that will change your approach to how you go about the business on this floor. The information that I have from experience in this house, if I disclose them, many of the things you say are incorrect. The presidents and former presidents, they know. You don't know. And they know that I know what I'm talking about. So please, confine yourselves to the matters before the House. Let's deal with that one.
Mr. Speaker, We are saying that the fact that there appears to be some right violation against Justice Araba Isaba Tokunu, we in the minority are unable to support this nomination. Mr. Speaker, the learned Attorney General, in his submission, alluded to the fact that even when Parliament approves this nomination and the court determines otherwise, the executive would be bound to respect it. He was right in saying that when a court makes a pronouncement, the executive will be bound by it. But what he did not say is the conduct of his office in the handling of the very matter that he is saying when there is pronouncement, they would be bound by it. Mr. Speaker, he himself submitted that the rules of court allows for extension of time application to be made. The question we ask is that why didn't the Attorney General, considering the enormity of this matter, act with alacrity? Mr. Speaker, the question that begs for an answer is that for all these periods, if justice was really meant to be done, why didn't the Attorney General file a defense? He is now saying that we shouldn't worry, and that if there is any positive outcome, the president will be bound by it. But we are interested in the process. The minority in this house is interested in the process, and it is contending that his actions amount to bad faith and denying the respected
Honorable Minority Leader. Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
I acknowledge that the minority is interested, and you are expressing your concerns. And those concerns have also been expressed at the right forum. But I say this is not the forum for that. The Attorney General's conduct of conducting proceedings in that court is not before the House. That at all is not. And so please, let's handle what is before us. Then at the appropriate forum, which you are doing, you continue with it. You can just refer that this is what you are doing, but don't go into the details.
Speaker, with respect, Mr. Speaker, just place my time on ice for us to interrogate this preliminary matter. Mr. Speaker, well, I will leave it to you, but I would want to learn. Mr. Speaker, in my submission, I was responding to the Attorney General. These are facts that he has made known to the House. So I was responding to his own argument. I was not saying anything new. It is what he said that I was referring to. But if you say I shouldn't delve deep into it.
I stopped him.
Mr. Speaker, very well.
I stopped him.
Very well.
And I said he should come back to the subject matter on the floor.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, that's
please.
All. Mr. Speaker, if it is so, I will not belabor. Mr. Speaker, today, our colleagues who vehemently opposed just 2 nominations to the Supreme Court, and when they had the opportunity, they brought 7. Their principled argument vanished into thin air. Today, Mr. Speaker, when our friends in the NDC argued against 2 nominations to the Supreme Court, when they had the opportunity, they brought 7 at a go. Today, the same people who opposed this nominee in 2008 are today saying that they are for his cause. Mr. Speaker, we leave everything to posterity. Every single thing that we are witnessing in this house is for posterity. But we believe as minority that in spite of all that is happening, which happenings is affecting the right of a citizen, the best days of our country are ahead of us. Mr. Speaker, we would not belabor. We maintain our opposition to this nomination, and we reject same, and we are going to demand a secret ballot to reject this. We are going to demand a secret ballot to vote, to let Hansard record our opposition. Mr. Speaker, we know that there are members who have their own views and would want to exercise their right when there is secret ballot. We, the minority, are going to invoke that so that we take a secret ballot to register our dissent on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't exhaust the 15 minutes. I will submit here to and then leave the matters to rest. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, the last person to have a say on this matter is the majority leader. The minority leader actually used less than 15 minutes. So it's the majority leader who is now to end the debate, and he has 15 minutes to do so.
Mr. Speaker, mine is a very brief one. Very brief. In 2012, we had a national election for the presidency and for parliament. The election results were disputed. President Akufo-Addo was declared winner. John Dramani Mahama and the NDC petitioned President John Dramani Mahama was declared winner. Akufo-Addo petitioned the courts. Mr. Speaker, in 2020, we had another election, and President Akufo-Addo was declared winner, and John Dramani Mahama petitioned. The cases traveled before the Supreme Court, and finally, the Supreme Court made a pronouncement. Mr. Speaker, it was clear to every Ghanaian that in spite of the cases pending in the Supreme Court, we went ahead and swore in those declared by the Electoral Commission as having been validly elected. But the case went on, and in the case of the petition against John Dramani Mahama, it was in August 2013 that the Supreme Court handed a ruling. Mr. Speaker, when we put the question to the nominee as to what he thinks will happen if the previous Chief Justice's case turned out in her favor,
he simply referred us to these two cases. If in a presidential petition, we are convinced that if the ruling goes against a sitting president, that person will vacate the seat so that the winner will take over. Why would we entertain doubt that if a Chief Justice who has left office gets a ruling in her favor, that the sitting Chief Justice will not give way so that the decision of the Supreme Court will be enforced? So the answer is simple. We have to proceed. And when the decisions of the courts come, and the implications are that what has happened should be reversed, the Chief Justice nominee said he is ready to give way, and whoever the courts declare in favor of will come and occupy the post of Chief Justice. So there's no problem. Mr. Speaker, the second issue about the listing of cases was put to the nominee, and the nominee explained that he, as acting Chief Justice, is not responsible for listing cases. So if the minority's position was that some cases hadn't been listed, then that is the matter for the registry, because as an acting Chief Justice, the Chief Justice normally empanels the court when the registrar indicates that all the processes had been concluded, and then we had reached a stage where we would need to empanel a court. So he wasn't responsible for cases not listed. Mr. Speaker, I think that a lot has been said already about the nominee, and I will not belabor the point, except to once again, lastly, register the point that in 2012, July 24th, 2012, Justice Theodora Wood was nominated, approved by this House, and appointed a Chief Justice. 2013, January, President John Evans Atta Mills, under the NDC, became president. He coexisted amicably with Justice Theodora Wood, who was appointed by President Kufuor under the MPP. Mr. Speaker, again, on 24th of July, 2012, when we lost the president, John Dramani Mahama took over as the president, and he coexisted amicably with Justice Theodora Wood, who was appointed by President Kufuor, an NPP president. What is my point? My point is simple, that the NDC under President Atta Mills and under the current president, John Dramani Mahama, has coexisted peacefully with a Chief Justice appointed by the MPP. So, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that my colleagues have already argued and given reasons why we should approve the nomination to the post of Chief Justice, because essentially he qualifies under Article 1284 of the Constitution, has been a judge for 30 years, overly qualified, has been a Supreme Court judge for more than a decade and a half, and is now acting as the Chief Justice. Mr. Speaker, without saying more, I will just say that put the question and we will vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Honorable members, honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, I put the question. Those in favor of the adoption of the committee's report, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, I put the question again. Those in favor of the adoption of the report of the committee, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, I think the ayes have it. Honorable members, we have the Honorable Deputy Whip, Minority Deputy Whip on his feet. Let's listen to him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise under Order 1513. Mr. Speaker, Order 151. Mr. Speaker, I rise under Order 1513. Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I read Order 1513. A member may challenge the decision of the Speaker on a voice vote, and the Speaker shall determine whether to call for a head count or electronic vote. Mr. Speaker, I invite you for us to do a head count on this since our electronic vote is not working. Speaker, head count.
Honorable members, there's a challenge to my decision on the voice vote, and there's a call for us to take a head count. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, let me read Order 1513. Well, it says, a member may challenge the decision of the Speaker on the voice vote, and the Speaker shall determine whether to call for head count or electronic vote. Whether. Mr. Speaker. Keep quiet. Whether. Mr. Speaker. There is no automatic right to a head count or electronic vote when somebody challenges the voice vote. There's no automatic right. It is for the Speaker to look at the chamber. Because where Mr. Speaker sits, he sees the numbers. Where Mr. Speaker sits, he sees the numbers. He sees the number constituting the NPP votes, and sees the number constituting the NDC votes. And Mr. Speaker knows that the NPP micro-minority have already indicated they are voting against. The NDC supermajority has already indicated they are voting for. So when you look at the numbers in the chamber, it is so clear that it becomes unnecessary for a head count. Mr. Speaker, so Mr. Speaker, we have confidence in you and your understanding of the rules. The rules say that a member may challenge the decision of the Speaker on a voice vote, and the Speaker shall determine whether to call for head count or electronic vote, or whether not to call for head count or electronic vote. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious, and there's no need for you to call for a head count or an electronic vote. It is obvious that they have lost the vote. We've won the vote, and take a decision and let's proceed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I have determined that there should be a head count. So we are going to do a head count. Head count. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members. Honorable
Mr.
members.
Speaker.
We are going to do a head count.
Mr. Speaker.
Please, those in favor of the motion, please rise up to be counted.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is a problem. There is a problem, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw your attention. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw your attention to the Constitution in Article 111. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution in Article 111. Nko ni mba bebre.
Honorable members, be at your seats. Members are moving around and they are having a challenge in counting you. Please, say rise up, rise up. Please. Members, you may resume your seats. Resume your seats. Honorable members, those against the motion rise to be counted. clerks at the table, you are asked to count all those who have risen. Please, so any person that has risen and is standing should be counted. Members, you may now resume your seats. Resume your seats. Honorable members, at the count, the ayes have 163. The noes 69. Yes, Honorable Habib.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise under Order 1526. Mr. Speaker, I rise under Order 1526. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, I read. Order 1526 states that where a member rises to challenge the results of the head count, the Speaker shall call for division. So, Mr. Speaker, I therefore challenge the head count, and I call for you to apply Order 1526 as stated in our orders for division, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the member rose and quoted Order 1526, and I just heard him read, where a member rises to challenge the results of the head count, the Speaker shall call for a division. I have not heard him challenge I did not hear him challenge the head count. I did not hear. I did not hear him challenge. I did not hear him challenge. You did. He told him to. I did not hear him challenge. I did not hear him challenge the result of the head count. So, Mr. Speaker, let him come properly. I did not hear him. But Mr. Speaker can give a ruling if you heard him challenge the results of the head count. I did not hear him.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to plead with you and draw your attention to Order 154, which states, and I read, despite Order 153, the Speaker may, if in the opinion of the Speaker, a division has been unnecessarily claimed, take the vote of the House by calling upon the members who support or who oppose the decision of the Speaker to rise and be counted, upon which the Speaker shall declare the decision of the House or direct that a division be held. Unquote. Mr. Speaker, in drawing your attention to this order, I plead that you exercise your authority as expected in that standing order, given that the numbers after the count speak for themselves and the call for a division is an unnecessary request. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Habib.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I rose earlier on, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, go on.
Mr. Speaker, when I rose earlier on, it was under Order 1526, and that I challenge, and it reads that where a member rises to challenge the results of the head count, the Speaker shall call for a division. Mr. Speaker, therefore, I challenge the results from the head count and call for a division under Order 1526. Mr. Speaker, even though the honorable member for Tamale North, Honorable Soyini, drawing your attention to Order 154. Mr. Speaker, Order 154 is clear that despite Order 153, I haven't raised anything under Order 153. I am within standing Order 1526, which is mandatory to the Speaker, Mr. Speaker. I make my case. Thank you.
Honorable Member, I'm still waiting to hear your challenge.
Mr. Speaker,
It's not sufficient to say a challenge.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, to make my earlier on, I tried to draw your attention. Mr. Speaker, I made this challenge because number one, Mr. Speaker, I did not believe that the number as presented to you from those who voted for the yes or the ayes were up to the number presented to you, Mr. Speaker. And also, I was drawing your attention to Article 111 of the 1992 Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, I read Article 111. The Vice President or a minister or a deputy minister who is not a member of Parliament shall be entitled to participate in the proceedings of Parliament and shall not be accorded the privilege of all members of Parliament except entitlement to vote. Mr. Speaker, the time we were taking the vote, the Ashanti Regional Minister is seated there. He's still here. Mr. Speaker, the Works and Housing Minister is still seated here. He has no right to vote. That's my basis for my challenge, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Speaker, Order 153 and Order 152 and Order 154 must all be read together. Because Order 154 says that despite Order 153, the Speaker, if in the opinion of the Speaker, the Speaker may, if in the opinion of the Speaker, a division has been unnecessarily claimed, a decision has been unnecessarily claimed, take the vote of the House by calling upon the members who support or who oppose the decision of the Speaker to rise and be counted, upon which the Speaker shall declare the decision of the House or direct that a division be held. Mr. Speaker, if you read Order 153, it deals with division and says the Speaker shall direct that the lobbies be cleared in the case of a division. The division bell shall be rung for 1 minute. The Speaker shall invite the leadership of the majority, minority, or independent caucuses to appoint 2 tellers each to observe the division process. After a lapse of 5 minutes, the Speaker shall announce the names of division clerks and the tellers. So 153 deals with the procedure for division. Is that okay? And 154 says that in spite of the fact that there is a procedure for division, Speaker can also say that a division has been unnecessarily claimed. That's 154. That's 154. And if the Speaker takes a position that a division has been unnecessarily claimed, the procedure is that he would ask one side only to rise up and be counted. Just one side. He can say that because you are not many and you are just 69, it is easier to count you. So you should rise up and then he will count you. When he counts you, he can direct and declare the decision of the House. That is what 154 says. That's what 154 says. So I therefore call on Mr. Speaker. I therefore call on Mr. Speaker to rule that a division has been unnecessarily claimed. And on the basis of a ruling that a division has been unnecessarily claimed, to proceed to count one side and then declare the decision of the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, Minority Leader, yes.
Yes, I think I mentioned it to you before.
Speaker, with respect, the Honorable Member for Tolon invoked Order 152 and was very clear in his application. The Order 153 that provides for procedure on division anticipates that possibly the 151 that was initially invoked, which gives rise for a head count, could be wrong. It is a reason why there's a whole procedure provided for under 153. which talks about clearing the lobbies, which talks about the leaders providing tellers. Mr. Speaker, in the first instance, it is the clerks who have done the accounting, not independently verified by anybody, and they have brought the figures to you. The member has challenged it, and that is why the second stage step allows for agents, that those who are saying no, those who are saying yes, will have an opportunity to validate the counting process. Mr. Speaker, for the majority leader to immediately invoke 154, to say that 154 says, despite 153, Speaker may. Mr. Speaker, that provision there must not be construed in a manner to negate the mandatory obligation under 1526. No, it is saying where the number, if you read 153, 11 and 12, it says that if a member states that he voted in error and that his vote was counted wrongly, the member may request that the vote be corrected or counted before the speaker declares the result. 11, where the member numbers in a division are equal, the motion shall be considered lost. Now, Mr. Speaker, if you read these together, it is rather dealing with a situation where a declaration is made under 153 and the speaker would want to exercise a discretion where a member is unnecessarily making a claim under division, because it anticipates that a member may not be satisfied and may be taking certain steps to make a certain application. If they now move away to refer to 152, Mr. Speaker, that is not in the contemplation of this regulation. If the intendment of Parliament was to the effect that Mr. Speaker can invoke 154 to, as it were, negate the effect of 1526, Mr. Speaker, the Parliament would have said so. It did not say that despite order 1526, Mr. Speaker, in his opinion, may consider a division unnecessary claim. No, 154 does not make reference at all to 1526. Mr. Speaker, that provision does not make reference to it at all. If the lawmakers had intended the 154 to have effect on 1526, it would have said so in clear language. Mr. Speaker, what has not been written or said is not meant to be added to the whole lot for interpretation. What 154 contemplates is the 153. That is why it mentions 153 without more. Nobody should attempt to lead, Mr. Speaker, astray. There is a huge temptation. There's a huge temptation. Earlier, the majority leader said Honorable Habib did not challenge. So he didn't hear. Now he moves away. He moves away to now invoke 154. The 154 is contemplating 153. Mr. Speaker, I would not want us to further delay this. 1526 is mandatory, and I'll conclude on it. It says where a member rises to challenge the results of the head count, the speaker shall call for a division. I don't know why the super majority is afraid. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? If you have your numbers and you believe in your numbers, let's go into division. If you believe in your numbers, let's go into division.
Honorable Minority Leader, you have made your point. The Honorable Habib mentioned a particular member. I just want to know whether the member was present when the head count was being taken. Please, I want to know from the member, please, it's not from any of you, it's a member present. Please, I want to hear from the member. Yes, honorable member.
No, come here. Come and use this one. Come and use this one.
Honorable member, yes.
Okay, you come and use it. Man, so let's speak straight.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, during the head count, myself and the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing, we were both outside the chamber. We were not counted during the head count. Thank you very much.
You walk them out. What are we going to do? What's it? Huh?
Yes, honorable members, it's my view that the division has been unnecessarily member. Honorable members, the division has been unnecessarily claimed. Honorable members, please resume your seats. Members, the motion has accordingly been adopted. This Honorable House has accordingly approved the nomination of Justice Paul Bafubone as Chief Justice of the Republic in accordance with Article 114, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution, respectively. I want to take this opportunity to, on behalf of the House, congratulate the nominee on his approval by Parliament. I urge the nominee to take all what has happened right up from the day of the nomination up to his approval, I should say prior approval by Parliament, into consideration in his tenure of office. Once again, congratulations. Yes, please, First Deputy Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I rise to thank the committee sincerely, particularly those who were present and vetted the nominee. I also want to thank the House, particularly those who were on their feet to be counted in favor of the adoption of the report of the committee. Thank you very much. God richly bless you.
Honorable members, please, I have a statement. It is actually what we call corrigentum. On 10th November 2025, I had the pleasure and honor of receiving a delegation from the Queen Mother's Foundation, led by their president, the Queen Mother of Kayira in the Ofinsu traditional area, Nana Ama Sewa Bunsu. Their well-intentioned visit afforded us the opportunity of discussing some proposed constitutional amendments, ways of empowering chiefs and queen mothers to protect the environment, stop illegal mining, and facilitate development. However, in communicating their visit to Parliament, I inadvertently referred to Nana Ama Sewa Bunsu as the president of the Queen Mothers Association and Queen Mother of Ofinsu. I wish to apologize to the Ofinsu Traditional Council and the Queen Mothers Association of Ghana for the regrettable error. Let me reiterate that Nana Ama Sewa Bunsu is the president of the Queen Mothers Foundation and not president of the Queen Mothers Association. She is also the Queen Mother of Kayira and not Queen Mother of Ofinsu. As a chief myself, I appreciate and respect traditional protocols and will be the last person to disregard the authority vested in our chiefs and queen mothers. I always welcome every opportunity to meet traditional authorities to discuss ways of exalting their roles in governance and in making them the fulcrum of development in the country, particularly in their jurisdictions. With all humility, I say Kafra Kuse to our revered kings and chiefs, queens and queen mothers of the Ofinsu traditional area. I thank you for your listenership. Honorable members, we will take one item and then take a short suspension before we come to the main item of today. On the order paper, we have this bill that we have been working on for some time now, and it is as item 13 on the order paper, the Ghana Scholarships Authority Bill 2025 is now got to the third reading. I have not received any request for us to be taken to a second consideration stage. So I want us to take it now before we go on the suspension. Yes, Honorable Habib.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just to remind you that we had agreed that motion 15 on page 4 of today's order paper be taken. Mr. Speaker, I understand that.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, if you could permit me to move the motion now before the minister responsible for education will do the Scholarship Authority Bill. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very snappy on my motion. It has been there for very long.
Please, I'll have to then suspend for 5 minutes. The House is sitting is accordingly suspended for 5 minutes.
Any moment from now, the Finance Minister, Kasiela Tuforsing, should be presenting the 2026 budget. Not too long ago, we saw him walk into the premises of Parliament, mobbed by so many people who have been waiting since morning for the arrival of the Finance Minister. But before the Finance Minister presents the budget, a lot has happened on the floor of Parliament. The report on the vetting of the President's nominee for the Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafuboni, was presented by the chairman of the Appointment Committee, who is also the first Deputy Speaker, and that resulted in that back and forth conversation between the minority and the majority. Finally, Justice Paul Bafuboni has been approved as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Quickly, I'll speak to our parliamentary correspondent who has been here since morning, monitoring the whole process. Let's understand exactly what he makes of the whole engagement as it's panned out between the majority and the minority. At a point, there was a need for a vote count. Let's understand all of that. Good afternoon to you, Augustus.
Good afternoon.
It's been a very long day. I've been monitoring to see the Finance Minister will make an appearance, and not too long ago he did same. But before that, a lot has happened. Take us through the conversation as we've seen it.
Now, one thing with Parliament is that members of Parliament deal with principles of a caucus, principle of a side. And that is what we have seen played out today. The principle of the majority has been that the President's nomination is fit for purpose. Justice Paul Bafuboni is capable enough to be the Chief Justice. The principle of the minority is that there are so many issues around surrounding his appointment, and so they feel that those issues need to be resolved whilst he still acts in his capacity of Chief Justice, and after that he can be his appointment can be looked at. But the Speaker has maintained that Parliament is well within its rights to act on the nomination by the President to nominate him. So what we saw today was just a continuation of what we had on Monday, where the vetting took place and where members of the Minority Caucus on the Appointment Committee and other committees that were subject matter committees to the judiciary all walked out of the vetting. Now, today, if viewers will recall, we talked about principle. The minority ostensibly said they are not against Justice Paul Bafuboni as a person, but they are on a principle stance that his assumption of office as Chief Justice should be without controversy. And as it stands now, it seems all the cases that are being instigated against him and against the state by former Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo will be destined. And so, in principle, they were just acting out their line. And if you notice, they never commented on the excuse me. They never commented on the vetting itself. On the details of the day, they kept repeating the same line, and the Speaker kept drawing the attention that he has ruled on that matter of whether the Parliament is within its right to even vet. Lawyers, there is a saying that a lawyer is as good as his brief. As in, if a lawyer knows his rules and he knows the Constitution and all that, he is good in court. The same way, a parliamentarian is as good as his brief. And so you realize that they relied on the standing orders in calling for a head count, in calling for a division. Now, if the division had been gone through, now when Honorable Habib raised the issue of the head count, it was done, and then he raised the issue of a division because he felt the head count was compromised. And so,
with the presence of the Ashanti Regional Minister and the Minister of Lands and the Minister for Works and Housing,
exactly, who are not members of Parliament. So Mahama Yarga, the majority leader, had to draw the Speaker's attention, still standing on the same order, standing orders of Parliament, to tell the Speaker that sometimes someone can raise a division, but it's well within your right as Speaker to declare the call for division.
So finally, we heard the Speaker say that the division was unjustifiably called, and so he goes ahead to rule and then finally approve the Chief Justice as the Chief Justice of the Republic.
If the division had gone through, we will still be in the issue is because they would have then called everyone out and called the members of Parliament one by one to come and be counted, and so that will also prolong the day. And some are also asking why Parliament decided to put the approval of the Chief Justice today of all days when we have the budget. That is what everybody in the country is looking out for. So there could have been a separate day that the Chief Justice's nomination could also be looked at. Yeah.
So in the morning, both sides nominated persons who are going to be speaking to that particular report laid by the Deputy Speaker. We saw once in a while the Speaker interject and interrupt, especially because he didn't want them to go back on some of the issues, especially on the ones that he ruled on, that Parliament has the constitutional mandate to go ahead and vet the Chief Justice, whilst the cases in court, the High Court, the Appeals Court, and the Supreme Court continue. And so anytime they raise issues that bordered on his ruling, he came in to stop them, and really that's how the whole conversation went.
Yeah. Now, another trajectory that we are also failing to see is that the minority, from the word go, have been fighting the cause of Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, and on the floor of Parliament, there hasn't been any motion or any event that will cause the whole House to comment on Justice Torkornoo's removal. And so it seems they have been using this as a tool for them to voice out their grievances on the floor for the sake of Hansard, for the sake of posterity to know that a time came when the Chief Justice of Ghana was removed and a side of the House fought her cause for her. Yeah, so this is basically what has been playing out today.
So, Augustus, we'll continue that conversation, but quickly let's speak to Bernard Mona of the PNC. He has been here awaiting the presentation of the budget. He also witnessed how the proceedings panned out in Parliament. Good afternoon to you, Bernard. Welcome to GTV. Maybe your quick thoughts on what we've experienced so far. We've been waiting for the finance minister, and it does appear that until this whole conversation is ended, we can't have him.
Well, I don't know where you get your timing from, but at 4:53, it cannot be an afternoon again. It's evening.
Well noted.
And I feel very overused and mistreated by Parliament. The notification that we got is that Minister for Finance will be in Parliament at 2 o'clock. We had so many other things to do, and we started running. Some of us, in order to catch up at the 2 o'clock, possibly we were ever speeding. And we could have actually gotten the opportunity or the unfortunate situation to possibly run into collusion with others. But because it matters to us to come and listen to the Minister for Finance who were here. I remember before 2, I was here with Kofi Kapito, the President of the Consumer Protection. He is tired, and I'm sure that by now he's gone.
But at the end of the day, this is Parliament, and they must do their work.
Parliament is the one that communicated the time that the Minister for Finance will be here. And because it is Parliament that communicated, Parliament must respect that they are here because of people. And so for Parliament to ask us to be here at 2 o'clock, and then Parliament decide that it should be after 5 that the minister should come and read, because you are here going through motions. Who in this country doesn't know that the Chief Justice nominated will be passed? It didn't matter what theatricals were done in this Parliament. The Chief Justice will be passed. So in the end, Parliament has passed that the Chief Justice nominee has been approved.
Going through the process.
He has just gone through the process. So why did you have to subject us to this ordeal? You see, if we want the institution of Parliament to be relevant, they must respect the time. But sometimes, and I say this all the time, that it appears that there is no work to be done by the Parliament. That is why they are engaged in unnecessary delays. If there is work to be done, you will want to focus on doing the work than to be engaged in theatricals that yields nothing. With these members of Parliament, it is obvious that, look, whatever is, if you want to disagree, we disagree, we will not participate in the process, and let the process move on so we can give significance to the Parliament. But what we are doing, we are angering people and wasting people's time.
Right, now let's come to the budget. What kind of a budget are you expecting from the finance minister? He has stabilized the economy. Do you expect him to move into expansion, move into a growth drive?
Well, by the nominal figures, we will say that the cedi has stabilized. We will say that we have gained significant positivity in terms of other currencies. By the nominal figures, we will say that inflation has come down. By the nominal figures, we will say that gross reserves have improved. By the nominal figures, we will say that GDP growth is high. But what does it mean to the many young people that are still struggling to find a job? It means nothing when you tell me that inflation has come down and I have no job. And yesterday, what happened at the Elwak Sports Stadium and in many other places in Ghana, that young people are struggling and stampeding themselves to death at a time they were only trying to seek an opportunity to live better, to get a job. It's manifestation that our economy is not doing well. What does Ghana own today? The finance minister may not be radical or revolutionary enough to insist that what belongs to Ghana, we should own it. The minerals of this country are not owned by Ghanaians or by the government of Ghana. Start from gold, we don't own it. Bauxite, we don't own it. Diamonds, we don't own them. Lithium is now even being parceled out to some other interests. So what do we actually own? So you are presenting a budget that will enable you to go and borrow more to come and take care of our expenses. Not a budget that will be able to generate revenues to be able to withstand the expenses that you make.
You allude to improvement in the macroeconomic fundamentals. So the city has stabilized, for instance, which has brought down fuel prices. I know you buy fuel. You see that fuel prices have gone down. So these are not just real figures. They have some impact.
I have just told you that beyond the nominal figures is to critique what brought about the decline in inflation. Is it a consequence that unemployment is rising? If we are talking about the positives of declining inflation, you must look at it from the Philip Kerr's perspective, that when inflation is declining, unaccompanied by deliberate investment, that will mean that unemployment is rising. Unemployment is also a social vice that could have very catastrophic effect on any nation. We salute the positive figures that we are seeing, but I'm saying that, can we go beyond it? If you go to just Burkina Faso, they are beginning to take control of their natural wealth, owning 50% of their minerals. And that has led to them increasing the volumes of employment among the young people, creating infrastructural development and what have you. That is the bold thing that the people of Ghana needs to do. We cannot have our gold being taken by Newmont, Asanko and others, and then we are on the periphery taking taxes and royalties. That is not what we want.
So in 2026, Ghana will resume debt settlement, local debt, as a result of the DDEP and also Eurobonds, some $1.4 billion we are going to pay in 2026. Do you expect the finance minister to introduce some taxes to shore up revenue so we are able to meet some of these obligations? You expect taxes?
I rather expect that some taxes should go, or some taxes should be realigned. For instance, we are no more in COVID period, and even when we're in COVID period, the people of Ghana benefit from COVID than we lost. And so the COVID-19 levy should be scrapped. Or better still, COVID-19 levy should be realigned to what we call the sports fund. Because we are trying to develop sports in this country, and it appears that there is no dedicated funding for supporting sports. So instead of throwing away COVID-19 levy, I would be expecting that we will redirect it to sports. And you will appreciate that, look, there are media houses that are exclusively crafted for sports, but there's no media house that is exclusively crafted for agriculture. There is no media house that is exclusively crafted for, let's say, health. But when it comes to sports, in fact, you will see radio stations, television stations, and programs fully dedicated. And even at GTV, we have GTV Sports, we have GTV Sports Plus.
We really have GTV Sports Plus.
Do you understand? We have GTV Sports when we are doing the normal news. And we have GTV Sports Plus, which is a channel dedicated to sports from morning till morning. It is sports. And so that should tell you. But I have not seen GTV dedicate a column for agric to agric from morning to any time. That will tell you that even as food is essential for our survival, sports has much more than food can give. And therefore, I think that COVID-19 levies and others should be redirected to Sports Development Fund so that we can create that niche, get a lot more young people into sports so we can develop sports infrastructure, develop the talents, and push them to where they have to belong so that in the end we can. As for servicing the debts, I'm sure that if we take control of our mineral wealth, we should not even have debts in this country.
Thank you very much, Bernard Mona of the PNC. He's been here since 2 p.m., as I said, waiting for the arrival of the finance minister and the presentation of the 2026 budget. So the finance minister certainly is going to be telling us a story of stability. We've seen inflation drop from 23.8% as at
December 2024. Now we're doing a single-digit inflation of 8%, which is below the 2025 target of 11.9% set by the finance minister. Also below the Bank of Ghana's medium-term inflation target of 10 plus or minus 2. We've seen both food inflation, non-food inflation coming down. We've seen the cedi stabilize, now doing 10.92 on the interbank market. We've seen growth, GDP growth moving 6.2%, 6.3%, I beg your pardon, in the first quarter and 6.3% in the second quarter. The finance minister had targeted to grow this economy 4.5% by the end of the year. And so if you do 6.3% first quarter, 6.3% second quarter, you can confidently say that the economy will grow beyond the 4.5% the finance minister has set the economy to grow. Our international reserves have improved, as has been said. Now we're doing some $12 billion, which is some 4.5 months of import cover. The finance minister in the 2025 budget had targeted that international reserves will be not less than 3.5 months of import cover. And so certainly if you look at the figures, almost all the macroeconomic indicators are pointing in the right direction. So certainly the finance minister will be telling us a story of stability. The issue really will be how he strikes the chord between ensuring that the gains we've made are consolidated and also ensuring that there's some level of growth in the economy to create more jobs and also ensure growth. So we're still here in Parliament. Parliament is gone on a short break. Immediately they return, the finance minister will be presenting the 2026 budget. I will hand over to you in the studio as we engage a lot more of the MPs who are in the House. Over to you in studio.
All right, thank you very much, Maurice. Good evening. If you're just joining us, this is GBC News. We've spent that long hours approving the Chief Justice, and finally that approval taking place in Parliament. The earlier communication for the budgets to be presented to Parliament was at 2 this afternoon. Unfortunately, if you check your time, it's just about 4 minutes past 5 in the evening, and that's when we're expecting the Finance Minister to present the 2026 budget. What we're going to do now is just to engage our guest here in the studio briefly, whilst we get ready to take you back to Parliament when the Finance Minister takes his turn to present the budget. What we know is that the Finance Minister is already in Parliament, and then when everything is said and done, we'll take you back to Parliament to get to know exactly what the government's plans are for the year 2026 in terms of its financial and economic management. I'm going to talk to a guest that we have right here in the studio. Next to me is Dr. Peter Tetpe. Peter Tetpe is an economist. He's also a policy analyst. And also next to him is Michael Boatin. Michael Boatin is a partner, tax at KPMG. They've joined us for us to have a pre-budget discussion before the presentation itself, which we hope and pray that's going to be short so that we can come back for the post-budget and move on with other productions. My name is George Supper. Once again, this is GBC News, and it's our pre-budget discussion ahead of the budget presentation. Understand, it's been a long day. A lot of issues happening in Parliament, mainly because of the approval of the Chief Justice. That has taken place. Now, we're going to witness the presentation of the 2026 budget. But before that, let's pick some thoughts from our guests here in the studio. And when we get the feed straight from Parliament, we'll get you exactly what the Finance Minister is going to say. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you very much. I should say you've really had a big heart of patience for us. You've been with us since the time we communicated with you till now. We're so grateful, and thanks for your patience too. We're so grateful. All right. Doc, let me start with you. Briefly, what would be your expectations for this budget for 2026, having in mind certain things that have happened in 2025 in terms of the budget presentation in 2025?
Thank you very much, and good evening to our cherished viewers. In fact, I am very expectant of a budget that will see the promise of rationalizing the tax system, being a reality. Because it's one thing that is disturbing manufacturing sector so much that is actually affecting the local, manufacturer because of the taxes that is making it expensive for products that are produced. So it makes, locally produced goods very expensive. And I'm also looking forward to see a budget that will consolidate the gains. That's looking at a government that will be able to do enough to mobilize revenue domestically, especially. I think that our tax system has been only a burden on the few who have been paying taxes all this while. And as a result, anytime you see taxes being introduced, it's the same people who will be paying. Looking forward to see a budget that will come where we'll not see, taxes being introduced, but we'll see what government is doing to formalize the informal economy, where we'll see a lot of, them coming into the tax bracket. Otherwise, we'll keep introducing taxes and we'll get to a stage where it will be excess. Even though government, will have to operate, and tax is the main revenue that government generates. But I'm looking forward to see that consolidation that will make tax, to GDP, at a certain level that will bring everybody into the majority, not everybody, majority of the informal sector players into the bracket. I'm also looking forward to see how government action will be in terms of, protecting the local economy. When I say protecting the local economy, our borders are very porous, very, very porous. And I keep saying that if we don't deliberately come up with policies that will protect the local economy, we will basically sell the country to, external, powers. Because cost of doing business in Ghana is high. We are not to the level where you'll be able to go to a bank, so you want to start business. There is a patient capital that will say, looking at the, your business model, your business plan is good, so we can be able to support you. We don't have that. And so you see people coming from other countries with the capital, and they are able to penetrate easily, and you can't compete with them because he is taking loan from his country at a very, concessional rate of less than, with a single digit rate. You are here paying, 20s and 30s. Now your luck is around 20, thereabout. And so I'm looking to see a budget that will be focused on this. And focus on this means that it will be a real economy and people-based budget. Also a budget that will expand the economy so that, whilst we are gradually preparing to exit the IMF, I'm hoping to see a budget that will expand the denominator. I'm talking about our GDP. Okay. So that we will be able to see the economy, being friendly to business, expanding where we are able to generate enough revenue to meet our, at least, expenditure, where primary surplus, our primary balance will continue to remain as surplus. And when we do this, it makes us very, confident that the Ghanaian is capable of managing his own affairs. Yeah.
Okay, let me move to Mr. Boateng. Same thoughts, what you expecting for the 2026 budget?
Thank you very much. So, the beginning of the year, I think before the budget, I think we always have a pre-budget survey, whereby we have about a population of about 200 companies, and we ask them key questions about what they expect from budget, looking at what has happened in the previous years, and then what they want to see. I think about so many issues came up. I think on the top about, say, 3 or 4. One of the key ones that came up was tax reforms. So within the tax reforms, in terms of tax administration, but then they focus mostly on VAT. What you realize was that from the VAT point of view, especially COVID-19 and others, it tend to affect the cost of doing business and others. So they wanted to see some reforms. And I think it's quite interesting that a large portion was saying that they want to make sure that government balances its objective of government revenue vis-a-vis business profits. Because as you are taxing, you're also looking at business profits to make sure that there is a balance. Another aspect that also came up was also how to manage energy cost and then constant supply. I think it's one of the key things that affects the cost of doing business in Ghana, because of when you have unreliable energy and also if you have very costly energy, which tend to eat in your profit. So I think one of the key things that came up. It's quite interesting that one last thing that actually came up was sustainability issues in terms of financing, environment issues. And then I think lastly, to make sure that there is government can create an enabling environment for access to credit. Now, within that, everybody knows that government cannot give out loans, but then what can government do in terms of, say, having a very proper credit system to make banks more or less grant loans based on the profile of borrowers, to make sure that they are paying the proper interest, because I think that's one of the key things. Whenever you hear of access to credit, that's one of the bottlenecks that most of the financial institutions are facing. So if you have a very reliable credit system, I think that can address the issue of default, and especially with the interest rates being high. So I think these are the key things that came out from this budget survey.
Okay, all right. Let's look at the 2025 budget. Let's look at the figures. Obviously, the figures look good, and we're told that it's a very good one for the year 2025. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Boateng, on this. I mean, if you look at the projection for the real overall real GDP growth, which was around 4%, but we've done more than that.
Yes.
We've done like 6.3% in the second quarter. The non-oil real GDP growth of at least 4.8, which that was the projection. We've really done more than that, around 7.8 thereabout. Inflation, which was projected to end the year at around 11.9%, just basically 12% of inflation. As we're speaking, we've done 8% of inflation, which happens to be a very good one for the economy. And the gross international reserve target not less than 3 months of import cover. Now we have about, I understand, $12 billion as of October, which is done about 4 months of import cover. The currency is also coming down. We have, as we speak, it's around just 10 Ghana cedis, almost 11, but let's just play with it, around 10 Ghana cedis, among other figures too that look very good. But revenue is another issue. We'll come to revenue. That's a conversation on its own issue, though. But so what in 2025 budget, its implementation, its rollout, and the figures that we're seeing so far, would you say that we've done very well? For example, the government has done very, very well implementing the 2025 budget?
Correct.
Or it's just that the government be very careful? That's how come we're seeing nice figures.
Well, I think you cannot say that the government has been careful, but it's actually, if you look at the IMF program that we actually went in, there are about three key pillars.
Yes.
And if you take a step back, you're talking about one being just ensuring that you have more or less the macros in terms of being stable, debt sustainability to make sure that you are, and then have economic growth as underlying. If you take a step back, what actually drove us into that was our debt, expensive debt, and then also having some of the macros going off. So you realize that what the government needed to do when it signed up was to just control costs, expenditure rationalization. If you look at the IMF report that actually came up, that's one of the key things that they talked about, which was one of the highlighting points of where we are. I mean expenditure rationalization.
Maybe we shouldn't spend more.
We shouldn't spend more because remember after the 2024 budget elections, one of the key things was that we really went off some of the numbers.
Yes,
so you had to really, if the economy is boiling, you need to calm down. How do you calm down? Ensure that your expenditures are rationalized. So if you take a step back, you find that has actually brought a lot of the issues under control in terms of inflation, all those numbers that we are talking about. And I think for a period, you need that because that's where the consolidation and everything comes in. So it's the core pillar of what we are seeing now. Granted, if you look at what the IMF report and also what you see in terms of our GDP, it was also mostly driven by gold exports. Gold is almost at all-time high. So you see our numbers growing up. Oil prices are dropped, which all those things tend to move into our expenditure and the top line revenue. So those are the key things. And I think from a prudent point of view, those things are needed to actually, kind of give us stability and everything before you begin to look at how you want to now wrap up. So I think if you look at 2025 budget, those are the key themes. We are likely to see almost the same thing for the 2026 because we are still under the IMF program.
Yes.
So a lot
but we're coming out also in 2026.
In May.
Yes, in May.
Yeah. But then the question then is, if you look at, and I think we would definitely, I don't want to take the...
No worries, that's good, yeah.
Because if you look at it, one of the key things that also came up from our pre-budget survey was how government will lay foundation for a lot of the projects that are going to come out. Exactly. 24-hour economy, you look at the big push and all those things. Yes. You tend to see that the government doesn't want to be the key driver. There will be a lot of partnership, just laying the infrastructure, laying the atmosphere, laying the framework and everything, and let private sector actually run it with the government support. So I think those are the things that we are likely to see in the team as we are going, because you don't want to just go off and throw the numbers off.
Okay, all right. Look, with the figures that we have, can we now talk about stability?
Yes. In fact, with the figures we have now, I mean, stability is the way to go.
But are we stable now?
To a large extent, I would say, we are. To a fair extent, we are stable.
To a fair one.
To a fair extent, we are stable. We are stable because we've seen the numbers playing or taking a certain trajectory that shows that we are really turning the corner very fast. In fact, the economy has recovered or is recovering faster than we all anticipated. I mean, for the first time, we have gone, far above the target for inflation. I mean, at 11.9, around 12, now today is 8, and we are hoping to even go down further. And this is despite certain happenings in the economy, both internal and external. I mean, internally, government has been prudent in terms of spending. That is one area that I think I commend the finance minister for. He is also not, even though we are not able to go to the external market, even look domestic borrowing, he's being careful. He's not just borrowing because because there's money to borrow. He's borrowing, doing targeted one. I mean, what is needed and then what it takes. I've also realized that external factors, generally because of how Trump is ruling America, we all know that because of the global nature of the dollar, anything that happens in America has effect, especially with emerging economies like Ghana. And so with Trump on his American first policy, you see that others are looking for investment in other areas apart from the dollar. Because of that, it has inured to our benefits as a country, as Ghana, where you see, for instance, oil prices stable at a certain level. We didn't have the elevated oil prices this year. And so that tells you that it helps you to, manage how much leaves your economy, because you import a lot of fuel. All the fuel we consume in this country, we import it. And so if you have prices low, then it reduces your cost as well. It has also helped us to manage our debt situation. And so if we have this playing coming to 2026, then businesses can have the confidence to plan. Businesses can have the confidence to be able to say that we can project and forecast and be able to say this is where we want to go. Unlike some years where we cannot actually see what will happen in the next 6 months, this kind of stability helps us to be able to do that. And so stability is very key, and that is what businesses are looking for, because stability gives you the peace of mind to be able to plan medium and long term, to know what to look for. Other than that, it would distort and obstruct businesses. And so finance minister must be focused on stability. I think that even if the levels are high, when I say levels are high, I'm talking of the macros, inflation, interest rate, exchange rate are high, and it is stable. It's even better. It's far, far better. I think every businessman or business or enterprise...
So even if inflation is high and the others are also high and it's stable, that's better?
Yes, it's better than the fluctuation that we see. For instance, like I was saying, if you see treasury bill rate. If you are an entity that is involved in investment, you do investment, you have money you want to invest, and then at the beginning of the year, you forecasted that your investment income on treasury bill, for instance, is going to be at 20, 30%. Then all of a sudden, within the course of the year, it dropped to 10. It has distorted your system. You have exchange rate at 15. And you are thinking that, looking at the situation, it will take some time for it to drop. Then we wake up and every day you see it dropping from 15 all the way. You know, what happens is that is going to give room for stock that have been acquired, bought already with higher cost. You quickly have to deplete that stock, because if you don't do so, then you are sitting on high cost. It also, influences imports into the economy to compete with the local industry. So stability is very important for the business world, and I hope that we'll be able to consolidate these gains in 2026.
All right. But Michael, would it be fair to say that we are recording this nice for years because we are not spending? We are not really doing that big expenditure, being very careful in here. Would it be fair to say that?
Yes. Okay. And I think, as my colleague actually indicated, you know, you've stabilized. You've been able to control it, the macros for
stability. A lot more people have commended him for that fiscal consolidation that's brought stability. You want to do same?
Well, I think first we need to have him bring the numbers. He hasn't brought the numbers. He brought us a projection at the beginning of the year. At the middle of the year, he brought us a review that suggested that his revenue targets were not performing. He was about 14 billion behind his revenue target. And yes, he had therefore to cut his expenses by about 19 billion. And so you could tell that he was consolidating and not spending money he didn't have. But at the end of the year, we have to now see the results and answer the first question: did his revenue strategy work? In fact, did his whole fiscal strategy work? If it did, I think we will commend him. If the fiscal strategy didn't work, we can't say that, though to applaud him, that he has been disciplined. Because you see, you draw a fiscal strategy aimed at raising money to deliver on promises. So if you are not able to do a good strategy, so it doesn't raise the money and therefore you can't spend, we can't clap for you that you have been disciplined. I hope you get my point. You have to be able to draw a strategy that raises the revenue and allows you to spend it, because that spending is what delivers.
But if you don't have the money, you don't want to spend.
Absolutely. But you see, if you are the managing director of an organization and you come up with a strategy that to grow the organization, I will introduce these new products, sell them, raise revenue, we'll make this profit, and then we'll invest this profit to develop the organization. That's a beautiful strategy. But if you fail in being able to get those products out there to sell and to raise the revenue, and therefore you are not able to spend, and you say, clap for me because I didn't spend money that I don't have, with the greatest of respect, that is not why we hired you as managing director. We hired you as managing director to be able to roll out these products, sell them, raise the revenue, and do those expenses. So on the fiscal strategy side, everybody's looking forward to a fiscal strategy that works. The 2025 one, as at half year when you brought the results, it had not worked. There were so huge a set of gaps between the program and the actuals. It had not worked.
But we've seen some other things work. Inflation is trending down. Single digits.
Yeah, that's
way below the target of 11.9%.
That's on the macro side. So on the macro side, yes, inflation has come down. Inflation has come down because the government or the Bank of Ghana has been continuing with the tight monetary policy. Remember, we started the tight monetary policy somewhere around 2022, 2023.
Which is available to the Bank of Ghana.
Absolutely. So there's nothing new there. It's the tight monetary policy that they are doing. The new thing that they have introduced is the sterilization program. The sterilization program has allowed them to mop up about 60 billion from the Ghanaian economy to collect that money from the market and lock it up at the Bank of Ghana so that that money is not available to fuel any demand. It will help you in the short term to force inflation down. But the other side is that then there's no money in town. So this, and people don't have money to buy, is because the money has been stepped. If people are looking for money to invest in businesses and they are not getting it, understand that that is the cost of fighting inflation, because they've sterilized the money.
But really, the first assignment of this government, and for that matter, the finance minister, is to stabilize the city, stabilize the economy.
There are ways of stabilizing. Tight monetary policy is one of those ways. If you choose to add sterilization, like a shock, and the finance minister admitted it, he said he was going to apply shock therapy. If you choose to apply the shock, bear in mind that that shock comes at a cost. So I'm just putting the facts out there. So they've done a lot of sterilization as well. On the currency side, we all know what's going on. Initially, they were denying that there was market intermediation. Now they have admitted that it's market intermediation.
Which is not bad.
We haven't said it's bad, but we're saying tell the people the truth. Initially, remember the Bank of Ghana governor said that there's no market intermediation. And then the president said that it's good leadership. It's not market intermediation. As we kept insisting and putting the figures out, remember now the IMF local market intermediation, stop it. When they stopped in September, what happened? The currency started depreciating again. And then now they put in place a framework and the Bank of Ghana instructed them, the IMF instructed them that announce it. So you notice that now they're hiding it.
Also because they have the reserves.
Don't worry.
Which is work they've done.
Don't worry. But the first thing is that tell the truth that what you are doing is that you are pumping dollars into the market to suppress the rates. Just tell the truth. Don't claim that something extraordinary has happened. Just tell the truth. Because if it comes to pumping, when any government has dollars, they will pump. So the question, like you asked, where did they get the dollars from? They don't print dollars in Ghana. So where did they get it from?
We've seen exports, rice, gold, cocoa exports.
It's because of the gold purchase program. The Bank of Ghana has just issued a statement yesterday, in which statement they themselves have admitted that the dollars they are going to be using, or the dollars they have been using, is the dollars from the gold purchase program. This gold purchase program was rolled out in June 2021 between the Bank of Ghana and the PMMC. The PMMC is what they've now rebranded as the Gold Board. So just tell the people the truth. That, listen, we're able to intermediate in the market because we inherited the gold purchase program. At that time, gold prices were $1,700 an ounce. Today is $4,000. So we are making a lot of profit. And once we are getting a lot of windfall, we are pumping it onto the market. But the risk is that when the prices come down or when we stop pumping, the currency will go back to its level. So the question now becomes, how do we sustain this on a natural level without taking drugs? You see, it's like when you have, let's say, a blood pressure problem and you are taking medication for it. You are not curing it, you are keeping it. The day you stop taking the blood pressure medication, your blood pressure will go to the regular level. So admit it. And then now, if you have to do some lifestyle changes or whatever you do, is that candor that we are saying must come to bear in the management of the economy. And so in this economic policy they are going to present, we are all hoping to hear, so what is a sustainable lifestyle change that will bring the blood pressure to a proper level without medication?
Which kind of budget do you expect the finance minister to present? Ones that propels growth, an expansionary budget, or he should keep stabilizing the economy even into 2020?
Stabilization is what every new finance minister does at the beginning of his term. Go and read about Yaosafo Mafo's program, read about Kwabena Dufour's program, read about my good friend Setekwe's work, read about Kenufurata's work. In the first year of the administration, you stabilize. But you can't do stability forever. You will stabilize, and then now you have to build growth on top of the stabilization. You have to deliver on your promises to the people. The problem often comes up when you start delivering on the problem, whether you are making enough revenues to be able to fund that development. The second part of the problem comes when the global economic events, because of the contagion effect, start also impacting you. Do you have enough buffers to respond to it? That is where the problem has always been. And so the kind of budget we expect, one, is to consolidate the stabilization. That's the first part. And the second part of it is a fiscal program that actually raises the revenue so that you can spend. And the third part is that spending must now go into delivering on the promises you have made to the people.
Do you see a risk to the outlook, especially when we are exiting the IMF program in 2026 and we will be wanting to grow?
There is always a risk of how you answer the political economy questions. There's always the risk of how you respond to the global economic developments. Commodity prices, I think from the forecast I'm seeing, will stay stable even into 2026. So I don't expect much turbulence on the currency side, to be honest with you. The risk now comes with how you handle your fiscals going forward and what will happen on the global economic landscape that could impact your economy, especially when you haven't built enough buffers. Remember, the buffers that are coming, we are pumping it all onto the market. We are not building enough buffers. We keep telling ourselves that the IMF says 3 months of import cover. No problem. Some countries have 9 months. So if you want to sit...
We're doing 4.5 months.
So fine. If you think 4.5 months is fine. We were doing about 4 months. We thought it was okay until we were hit. After a while, we ran out and we had to now go and look for a balance of payment support program at the IMF. So today, if you have gold prices for $4,000 an ounce. You decide whether you want to pump it all onto the market or you want to build buffers for the future. It's your choice. The events that will follow later will determine whether your choices were right or not.
Are you expecting the removal of the COVID-19 levy in the 2026 budget?
The government promised.
Is that a possibility?
No, the government promised that they will do that. They didn't do it in the first year, and they promised they will do it in the second year. So I think everybody is right to expect
some technical assistance from the IMF consultation.
It wasn't my promise; it was their promise. So everybody will expect that they will live up to that promise. They also said that they will be doing some VAT reforms. So everybody expects that they will do all of those.
What about the 24-hour economy, the Women's Bank?
The 24-hour economy and the Women's Bank are political commitment. They are commitments that the government has made to the people of Ghana. In the first budget, they admitted that they were trying to stabilize some more. It is the second budget that you expect that they will then, let out fully into it. And so we expect to see some semblance of activity there. We'll be looking out for it.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nkrumah is a former Minister for Information, a former Minister for Works and Housing. Quickly, we'll speak to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Kofi Amabua. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to GTV.
It's good to be here.
What kind of budget are you expecting the Finance Minister to present today? Is it one that is supposed to be growth-led?
A growth-led budget. This is a budget that basically has set Ghana on the path of prosperity again. And don't take my words for it. At the end of the budget, you ask yourself, what has happened in the last 10 months? Who ever said that in 10 months, led by President Mahama, we will see a budget that says Ghana has returned to single-digit inflation? Who ever thought, and you will see it in this budget, that the world will be saying that they are credible leaders of integrity, and Ghana's path is such great that now our credit rating is now back to B+.
We saw this in the first term of the former government.
Please. You saw inflation what?
Coming down.
You saw inflation at 8%?
No, at 8%.
Please. It takes leadership. It takes hard work. I'm just telling you that 10 months of sacrifices, 10 months of leadership are what you are going to see today. And today, we are going to see, and by the time the minister is done, you will see that he has laid a solid foundation for a takeoff of this economy. That's why after he lays that foundation, he will now tell you the infrastructure movement. He will tell you what we've done to make our city proud. He will tell you why women can go to the market with certainty about prices of goods and services, ordinary Ghanaians. This budget is a hopeful budget. It shows everything about Ghanaians' judgment, the reason they voted for President Mahama. And this budget will tell you that Ghanaians made the right choice. 10 months of transformational leadership. This is what you see.
All right, so that was the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Kofi Amabua. There not too long ago, we spoke to the former Minister for Information, Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah. We're still here in Parliament. As I said, the Finance Minister should be getting ready to present the budget any moment from now. We'll hand over to you in the studios.
Maurice, that was Maurice there talking to Kojo Opon Nkrumah and then Emmanuel Namakofibua. All got to do with the budget and what to expect in the 2026 budget. So we would like to apologize earlier there for the rate at which we cut and quickly went over to Parliament House. If you're just joining us, this is GBC News. It's our coverage of the budget presentation for the year 2026. The Finance Minister is expected to present the economic plan for the country for the year 2026. We've started our conversation with our guest in the studio, Dr. Seth Tekpe, who is an economist, is also a policy analyst, and also have with us Michael Boatin. Michael is a partner, Tax KPMG. We've looked at the figures for the year 2025 and how good those figures actually looks like. You heard Kojo Opon Nkrumah there talking about certain things that to them it might not be the real truth that the government is projecting in there. There was a question that Michael Boatin was answering before he went over to Parliament House to join Maurice. It's got to do with whether, yes, the figures are looking good because the government is not really making that much of expenditure. That was the question he was addressing before he went for that interview. Let me get him back to answer the question, then we can move on further. Yes, whether the figures are looking good because we're not spending that much.
Well, I think the figures, I would say, is more of expenditure rationalization. I mean, you have to make sure, because it's deliberate.
Yeah.
You really have to make sure you are doing that. But then you take a step back and look at, then after this budget, 2026, what are some of the things that we need to look at? And I think, as I kept saying, you know, the government is one of the key biggest spending units in the country.
Yes.
So to have a real GDP of where businesses, construction and everything, that's when the expenditure will come in. And that's why the big push agenda definitely will come in, because if you are going to have a lot of the petroleum revenue being pushed there, that you are going to see a lot of, you know, infrastructure being pushed. But then the question there also is, when you look at the 24-hour economy, which is also another, a very big, expected, I would say, enabler, you know, something to actually drive industrialization in the country, from agro, business, export, the tourism and all those things, especially looking at the Volta region basin, all those things that have been talked about. What we want to see is that a lot of investment will have to go in to create that enabling environment, because I think if we are able to get that takeoff, I think that will be one of the key things that we need to look at. So we've done the expenditure rationalization, we brought that stability that we are seeing. The expectation is that this is not a long term, this cannot be a long term. You really need to have, because as I said, the biggest spender, and that would generate jobs and other things, which we need at some point to make sure that actually we are seeing those organic growth. But then also, with these two key pillars, 24-hour economy, the big push and others, that are supposed to actually more or less change the fabric of our economy, that a lot of investment will have to go in to ensure. So I think that is where we may have to really make sure we look at both aspects.
Great. Let's quickly move over to Parliament House for this presentation, and then when we are done, we'll continue with our conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Before I present the 2026 budget statement and economic policy of government, permit me to, on behalf of His Excellency the President, to express my deepest condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones in the Ghana Armed Forces enlistment tragedy yesterday at the military Air Work Sports Stadium. Mr. Speaker, words fail us at this time of deep grief. We can only pray for them to find God's comfort and peace in this difficult time. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, on the authority of His Excellency the President, in accordance with Article 179 of the 1992 Constitution and Section 21 of the PFM Act, I have the honor and privilege to present to this House the budget statement and economic policy of government for the 2026 financial year. Mr. Speaker, this address is an abridged version of the full 2026 budget statement and economic policy of government. I respectfully request that the Hansard Department captures the entire budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2026. Mr. Speaker, I accordingly present the budget statement and economic policy of government for the year ending 31st December 2026. Right Honorable Speaker, again in accordance with law, I will also lay before this House the following statutory reports. The first will be the 2025 annual report on petroleum funds, and the second will be the 2025 annual report on the collection and utilization of the African Union Import Levy, in line with Section 7 of the African Union Levy Act 2017, Act 952. Mr. Speaker, in the course of 2026, in pursuance to Article 36(5), I will cause to be laid before Parliament on behalf of the President a coordinated program of economic and social development policies, including agriculture and industrial programs at all levels and in all the regions of Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, I will also present the following bills, regulations, and memoranda for consideration by this House. Speaker, the bills and regulations will be the following: the Value for Money Bill, the Virtual Asset Service Providers Bill, the Value Added Tax Bill, the COVID-19 Health Recovery Repeal Bill, the Ghana Education Trust Fund Amendment Bill, the National Insurance Amendment Bill, the Public Procurement Regulation, request for approval for a revised investment policy of the Ghana Petroleum Funds in line with Section 31A of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815. And finally, a request for approval to implement an AI-powered trade data analytics system to support customs revenue mobilization and enhance trade facilitation. Mr. Speaker, I stand before this House humbled by the confidence reposed in me by His Excellency the President to deliver his second budget under his reset agenda. Mr. Speaker, when this administration took office, we met an economy in distress, weighed down by debt, weakened by mismanagement, and stripped of confidence. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget, the 2025 budget was our first act of courage, a declaration that Ghana would rise again through reforms, discipline, and visionary leadership. Right Honorable Speaker, the theme for this year's budget draws from the President's profound words in his 2025 State of the Nation address, when he declared that, Mr. Speaker, quote, "Today, inspired by Almighty God and propelled by the massive mandate given to me by the people of Ghana, I am moved to make a purposeful and bold declaration that I, John Dramani Mahama, will fix the economic crisis confronting our country and reset it on a path of growth and sustainability." Right Honorable Speaker, it is with that same conviction that I present the 2026 budget under the theme, Resetting for Growth, Jobs and Economic Transformation. Mr. Speaker, under President Mahama's leadership, this government has chosen a harder but higher road, the road of reform, renewal, and resilience. We have restored fiscal discipline, brought inflation under control, stabilized the cedi, and rekindled investor confidence. This is not just a recovery, it is a reset. It is a story of a nation that refused to stay down. This is a rebirth from the ashes of daunting inheritance, the heavy burden laid upon us by the previous administration. Mr. Speaker, it is indeed a revival forged amid the tempest of hopes, harbored by the ordinary Ghanaian, whose spirit has long been weathered by 8 years of hardship, impoverishment, and shadows of deception. Mr. Speaker, it is the story of Ghanaians who endured hardships with dignity and held on to hope when the road was rough. Right Honorable Speaker, we have learned a powerful truth, and the truth is that fiscal discipline is the backbone of national progress. Mr. Speaker, there is no shortcut to responsible economic mismanagement. Mr. Speaker, there is no shortcut for responsible economic management. Never again must we allow recklessness, waste, and indiscipline to define how we handle the people's money. Right Honorable Speaker, President Mahama has made it clear that under his watch, the integrity of our public finances will remain sacred. Mr. Speaker, confidence is returning. The Black Star is rising once more. Ghana is back, strong, stable, and full of hope. And yes, our Black Stars are heading to the World Cup. Right Honorable Speaker, with that renewed energy and optimism, this budget is about building on the foundation we have laid, turning stability into opportunity and opportunity into prosperity. On behalf of His Excellency the President, I extend my deepest gratitude to organized labor, the employers' associations, and workers of Ghana who work with government to successfully agree on the national minimum wage and base pay for 2026, ahead of this budget, reflecting our shared vision of fairness, stability, and productivity. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget marks a decisive shift from recovery to transformation, from resilience to productivity, and from stability to jobs. Mr. Speaker, over the next year and beyond, government will focus on 3 priorities to reset for growth, jobs, and transformation. Speaker, the first will be consolidating the macroeconomic stability. The second will be accelerating economic transformation and job creation. And finally, strengthening security and social sector for inclusive growth. Right Honorable Speaker, our vision is clear. A Ghana that produces more than it consumes. A Ghana that exports value-added goods, not just raw materials. A Ghana where jobs are decent, incomes are rising, and opportunities shared by all. And, Mr. Speaker, a Ghana where every citizen lives with dignity and pride. Mr. Speaker, that is the Ghana we are building. A Ghana powered by discipline, driven by vision, and anchored on shared prosperity. Right Honorable Speaker, having outlined the guiding theme and vision for this budget, I now turn to the state of the Ghanaian economy as at October 2025. Mr. Speaker, and to show where we stand, what we have achieved, and where we are headed. After that, I'll present the policies, priorities, and resource allocation that will drive Ghana's growth, jobs, and economic transformation in 2026 and beyond. Mr. Speaker, at the beginning of the year, we inherited a painful effect of the fiscal slippages of 2024, pressures that weighed heavily on households and businesses and public finances. Mr. Speaker, confidence was fragile, inflation remained elevated, the exchange rate was unstable, and the public debt was elevated. Yet, through visionary leadership, fiscal discipline, and policy consistency, the tide has finally turned. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's economy has now recovered, marked by renewed investor confidence and an improved macroeconomic outlook. Mr. Speaker, I'll now give you real sector performance. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's economy has regained its rhythm. Real GDP expanded by 6.3% in the first half of 2025, up from 5.1% in the same period of 2024, driven by stronger agriculture and service, lower inflation, and renewed business confidence. Non-oil GDP grew by 7.8%, showing that our growth is now powered by domestic production. Mr. Speaker, the service sector remains the heartbeat of recovery, surging 8.8% with ICT up 17.2%, finance and insurance up 9.5%, and education up 14.9%. Agriculture, the backbone of stability, also grew by 6%, doubling that of last year. Mr. Speaker, cocoa rebound from a sharp 21.4%, contracting to 2.8% growth. Mr. Speaker, thanks to the targeted farm support and smarter policies. Industry held steady despite reduced oil output. Manufacturing rose 6.3% and construction 4.0%, reflecting reliable energy and revived infrastructure projects. On the demand side, Right Honorable Speaker, household consumption grew by 8.2%, reflecting stronger household confidence. Government spending also slowed to 3.7%, proving fiscal discipline. The Speaker, export grew 11.5%, led by gold, cocoa, and non-traditional export. This is the growth that creates jobs, lifts incomes, and builds lasting stability. The Speaker, I now take you to price development. Right Honorable Speaker, inflation has fallen faster than anyone imagined, from 23.8% in December 2024 to 8% by October 2025. Ghana is back to a single-digit inflation. This was not by sheer luck. It is the outcome of disciplined fiscal policy, steady monetary management, stable exchange rates, and strong domestic production. Together, these have restored confidence, stabilized the cedi, and eased the pressure on families and businesses. Food inflation reduced from 27.8% to 9.5%. Prices of everyday food such as tomatoes, garden eggs, okra, and fish are finally falling. Mr. Speaker, non-food inflation also dropped from 20.3% to 6.9%, supported by steady fuel prices and lower import costs. Right, Honorable Speaker, this progress proves that sound policies brings real relief. Sound policies brings real relief. So, Speaker, both imported and local price pressures are now contained. Right, Honorable Speaker, the task ahead is to sustain this stability by keeping fiscal discipline, boosting food security, and ensuring strong coordination between the fiscal and monetary authorities. The Speaker, I now take you to fiscal performance. The Speaker, 2025 marked one of Ghana's strongest fiscal turnaround in decades. The primary balance on commitment basis swung from a 3% deficit in 2024 to a 1.6% surplus by September 2025, exceeding the target and proving that discipline delivers results. Mr. Speaker, reforms in revenue mobilization and spending controls anchored this recovery. The removal of nuisance e-levy did not weaken revenue. Broader tax reforms and efficient gains lifted non-oil tax revenue to 8.7% of GDP, up from 7.8% in 2024. On expenditure, government tightened non-priority spending whilst protecting key investment in the sectors. So, Speaker, Treasury bill rates have fallen, saving 8.8% in interest from January to September. So, Speaker, 8.8 billion from January to September. So, Speaker, public debt dropped to its lowest in a decade, and Ghana's debt risk has been reclassified from high to moderate. These gains have created space for social and capital investment, eased external debt pressures, and restored investor confidence. Right, Honorable Speaker, Ghana's fiscal consolidation is now credible, sustainable, and homegrown, a model of responsibility that turns stability into progress and ensures every city works for the Ghanaian people. So, Speaker, I take you to social protection. Right, Honorable Speaker, even as we pursue fiscal consolidation, government protected and expanded social spending to cushion vulnerable households. Allocations to social protection programs increased to 0.9% of GDP, up from 0.6% in 2024. Mr. Speaker, these targeted interventions reflect our conviction that economic stability must translate into social progress. Mr. Speaker, I will now give you an update on power purchase agreements, renegotiations, and other reforms in the energy sector. Right, Honorable Speaker, when this administration took office, Ghana's energy sector was saddled with about $1.4 billion United States dollars in debt to independent power producers, a ticking fiscal bomb, I call it. Mr. Speaker, today, that burden has been lessened. We have renegotiated all power purchase agreements led by Ghanaian experts at no cost to the state, saving over $250 million and restructuring 1.1 billion Ghana cedis over a four-year period. Mr. Speaker, government is now fully current on payment, clearing $300 million United States dollars in 2025 year to date, and allocating $345 million United States dollars for 2026. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, we are not accruing new arrests in energy sector. Solar tariffs, projects like BXC and Mineji have dropped from 18 to 6.5 cents per kilowatt hour, cutting costs and expanding access. Mr. Speaker, this was achieved as part of the renegotiation. Mr. Speaker, the Electricity Company of Ghana revenues has risen almost 90% from 900 million to 1.7 billion Ghana cedis per month. Thanks to better enforcement of the cash waterfall mechanism. The Speaker, I repeat, ECG's revenue has improved by almost 90% per month, from 900 Ghana cedis per month to 1.7 billion Ghana cedis per calendar month. Mr. Speaker, I'll now give you an update on the audit of arrears and payables. Mr. Speaker, upon assuming office, government was confronted with outstanding arrears and payables totaling 68.8 billion Ghana cedis, comprising 50.5 billion in unpaid invoices and interim payment certificate, IPCs, and 18.3 billion in outstanding bank transfer advices, BTs. Mr. Speaker, in fulfillment of our pledge to protect the public purse and ensure value for money, we commissioned the Auditor General, working directly with PwC and EY, to conduct an independent validation of these arrests and commitment. Mr. Speaker, as I informed this August House during the media review of the 2025 budget, this special audit covered all verified arrests and commitment as at end December 2024. The objective was to establish the legitimacy of the claims, identify irregularities, and address the fiscal risk arising from the accumulation of these arrests and outstanding commitment. Mr. Speaker, the exercise has now been completed, and the Auditor General is finalizing his report for submission to Parliament. But, Mr. Speaker, the findings are troubling and very damning. Very damning. Mr. Speaker, out of the 68.8 billion, Mr. Speaker, I'll give headline numbers whilst we wait for the Auditor General to submit the report next week. Mr. Speaker, out of the 68.8 billion payable submitted for audit, 47.8 billion cedis was validated. Mr. Speaker, an additional 8.6 billion Ghana cedis remains under review, pending further validation due to inadequate documentation, missing third-party confirmation, and lack of supporting document. Mr. Speaker, these yet to be validated claims may be legitimate, but further evidence will be required before they can be recognized. But, Right Honorable Speaker, about 10.4 billion Ghana cedis in claims were rejected. The Speaker, due to duplications, recycled IPCs, inflated invoices, falsified stores receipts advice, and instances of no work but demanding money. Right Honorable Speaker, out of the rejected amount, about 1 billion Ghana cedis, comprising BTAs, bank transfer advices, that had already been processed by the Ministry of Finance and were ready for payment by the Controlling Accountant General and Bank of Ghana, were rejected. The Speaker, without this audit, these claims would have been paid, underscoring the importance of vigilance and verification. Mr. Speaker, about 2 billion Ghana cedis was also reclassified from claims to BTS. Right Honorable Speaker, the report is ready and it will be submitted and the detail may be discussed by this House. Mr. Speaker, this audit has not only saved the nation billions in potential losses, but also restored accountability, strengthened expenditure controls, and reaffirmed this government's unwavering commitment to fiscal discipline and transparency. The Speaker, we have identified an abuse in the use of import declaration forms, IDFs. Mr. Speaker, I'll give you the update. Right Honorable Speaker, our investigation into Ghana's import system exposed a staggering abuse of import declaration forms, a tool meant to support legitimate trade, but now hijacked for illicit transfers and tax evasion. Mr. Speaker, between April 2020 and August 2025, over 525,000 transactions amounting to an equivalent of $83 billion were processed through ICOPS. Mr. Speaker, surprisingly, this amount of $83 billion were transferred from Ghana in the name of imports. But surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, only 10,440 of these transactions were linked to actual imports. Mr. Speaker, an equivalent of $31 billion in transactions were transferred abroad with no goods imported into the country. Mr. Speaker, this leaks bleeds our reserves, weakens the Ghana cedi, and deprive the economy of resources that should have been used to build schools, roads, and hospitals. Mr. Speaker, the audit also reveals that some importers underdeclared values to hide about 76 billion cedis in imports, denying Ghana about 11 billion Ghana cedis in potential revenue between 2020 to 2025 August. Mr. Speaker, other importers inflated transfer values, aided by some banks that ignored the $200,000 ceiling set by the central bank. Over 17,700 IDF applications broke this limit, channeling an equivalent of about 20 billion United States dollars in unverified transactions out of Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker, this was not a loophole. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, this was not a loophole. It was an organized system for exploitation. In fact, an organized crime. Mr. Speaker, persons and institutions behind these activities are being referred to the Attorney General, Economic and Organized Crime Office, the FIC, and CID for investigation. Mr. Speaker, also, the Ghana Revenue Authority will establish a special recovery unit to reclaim all this lost revenue between this period. Right, Honorable Speaker, government has since acted decisively. An interagency committee will now audit all imported related transfers going forward. The Bank of Ghana will also match every forex transfer with verified import data. The Speaker, we are drawing a hard line. Every dollar leaving Ghana must deliver real value for the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's public debt is firmly on downward path. Mr. Speaker, by October 2025, total debt had fallen from 726.7 billion Ghana cedis, or 61.8% of GDP in 2024, to 630.2 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent of 45% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, marking one of the sharpest decline in our history. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in over a decade, we have recorded a negative rate of debt accumulation from a positive 19.1% in 2024 to a negative 13.3% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, this turnaround reflects fiscal discipline, prudent borrowing, and stronger cedi, showing that Ghana's reforms are being measured, Mr. Speaker, and they are showing results. At home, domestic debt market has rebounded. Treasury bill have dropped by 1,600 basis points, with the 91-day Treasury bill at 10.7 from 28.9, the lowest in 14 years. Mr. Speaker, government has paid 20.3 billion Ghana cedis in bond coupons, restoring trust and market liquidity. Mr. Speaker, Eurobond prices are up by 17%, yield down by 300 basis points, and investor confidence is back. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has entered a new era of debt sustainability, anchored on discipline, transparency, and fiscal sovereignty. Speaker, I'll give an update on sovereign credit ratings. Right Honorable Speaker, all three major international rating agencies have upgraded Ghana's, affirming new faith in our macroeconomic management. In June 2025, Fitch lifted Ghana from restricted default to B-. Again, Moody's in October upgraded Ghana to CAA1. And Mr. Speaker, in November, a couple of weeks ago, S&P also upgraded Ghana to B-/B. The Speaker, together, these upgrades marks a global vote of confidence. Ghana is once again credible, stable, and open for business. Mr. Speaker, I take you to monetary and financial sector performance. Right Honorable Speaker, monetary policy in 2025 stayed tight but effective, thanks to prudent management by the central bank and the governor. The Speaker, the Bank of Ghana cut broad money growth to 16.6% and base money to 4.5%, sterilizing 55 billion Ghana cedis to stabilize the cedi and lock in the lowest inflation in 4 years. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's external sector remained strong in 2025. The current account surplus rose to 3.2% of GDP from 2%, driven by robust gold and cocoa export, higher remittance, and strict import management. Mr. Speaker, a $2.1 billion United States dollar trade surplus and growth in non-traditional exports showed a more diversified economy. The Ghana cedi appreciated against the US dollar from 16.35 Ghana cedi to the US dollar in November 2024 to 10 cedi 92 pesos as at 10th November 2025. The Speaker, this represents a rare appreciation of 35%, reflecting sound fiscal and monetary policy management. Right Honorable Speaker, this stability lowered debt costs and eased inflation. Gold and cocoa powered the recovery. Gold earnings rose 68% to 11.2 billion United States dollars. Speaker, cocoa rose 170% to 2.47 billion United States dollars, whilst oil dipped to 1.83 billion. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's rising export firms reserves, and a stable cedi confirms one thing, that Ghana's recovery is real, disciplined, and indeed lasting. So Speaker, take you to sectorial performance. Right Honorable Speaker, the story of Ghana's economic recovery in 2025 is best told through the work of our ministries, departments, and agencies. Across every sector, from agriculture and industry to governance, infrastructure and human development, performance in 2025 reflects disciplined execution and innovation. The Speaker, our task now is to sustain this momentum. We will boost productivity in agriculture and industry, accelerate infrastructure delivery, and strengthen governance and skills development. Sector ministers will present their outlook in detail, but the message is clear. Ghana is rebounding with purpose and rising with promise. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 medium-term policy objectives and targets is what I'm now going to present. Right Honorable Speaker, as we enter 2026, our mission is clear: to turn the hard-won stability of 2025 into shared prosperity. Mr. Speaker, the sacrifices made by Ghanaians over the past year have restored hope and confidence in our economy. Inflation is down, the city is stronger, and growth has regained momentum. Mr. Speaker, our fiscal strategy will match discipline with compassion. Our key fiscal policy priorities for 2026 are as follows. First will be to maintain fiscal discipline by sustaining a primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis. Speaker, the second is to mobilize domestic resources through continuous implementation of our medium-term revenue strategy. Speaker, will promote value for money and rationalize spending, ensuring that every city delivers value for citizens whilst eliminating leakages and inefficiency. And finally, Mr. Speaker, protect priority social spending in education, health, and social protection to shield the poor and sustain human capital development. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, our monetary and exchange rate strategy will safeguard stability and drive growth, keep inflation low, the city strong, and confidence high. And that will be our monetary and exchange rate strategy. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana will stay data-driven and cautious, holding inflation within the targeted band of 8 ±2 and easing only when safe. Mr. Speaker, the central bank is doing a good job. Right, Honorable Speaker, to advance our medium-term macroeconomic goal of stability, resilience, and shared prosperity, government has set bold but achievable macroeconomic target for 2026 fiscal year and the medium term. Mr. Speaker, over the medium term, from 2026 to 2028, real GDP is set to rise steadily, averaging about 4.9% at the minimum. Non-oil GDP is programmed to grow around 5% at the minimum. So, Speaker, inflation will stay within 8 ±2% targeted band, reflecting a firm grip on price stability. The Speaker, the fiscal balance will remain strong, with the primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP from 2026 onwards. And right, Honorable Speaker, gross international reserves are expected to provide at least 3 months of import cover over the medium term. Right, Honorable Speaker, for the year 2026, we will achieve the following at the minimum. Real GDP growth of at least 4.8%, driven by continued expansion in infrastructure and service sectors, agriculture as well. Non-oil GDP, Mr. Speaker, at least 4.9%. End-year inflation for next year will be at least 8% ±2. Mr. Speaker, primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis in line with our fiscal responsibility framework to sustain discipline and debt sustainability. Gross international reserves of not less than 3 months of import cover, covering a strong external sector and a strong defense for the Ghana city. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's fiscal strategy over the medium term is to lock in stability and turn it into lasting growth. From 2026, government will sustain a primary surplus of at least 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis each year, anchoring fiscal discipline and debt sustainability. Mr. Speaker, revenue and grant are projected to rise from 16.4% of GDP in 2025 to 16.9% in 2026, reaching 17% by 2029, driven by stronger tax administration. Right, Honorable Speaker, our focus is on expanding the tax net, not overburden existing taxpayers. Mr. Speaker, expenditure growth will remain disciplined, rising modestly from 15% of GDP in 2025 to 15.4% in 2026. As a result, the fiscal deficit will narrow sharply from 2.8% of GDP in 2025 to 2% in 2026 and 2.1% by 2029. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, government will target a primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP, consistent with our fiscal anchor. The overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis is projected at 2.2% of GDP. On cash basis, the overall fiscal deficit is projected at 4% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, this fiscal stance balances consolidation with growth, maintaining discipline while safeguarding resources for productive investment under the Big Push infrastructure program and other national priorities. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revenue mobilization for 2026. Right, Honorable Speaker, in 2026, government expects to collect total revenue and grant of 268.1 billion Ghana cedis, up from 226.7 billion in 2025, a strong 18.3% increase. Non-oil tax revenue, the backbone of domestic mobilization, is projected at 216.1 billion Ghana cedis, growing on the back of improved compliance and enforcement. Oil and gas receipts are expected to contribute 13.6 billion Ghana cedis, supported by steady global prices. The Speaker, non-tax revenue is projected at 20.9 billion, with 18.2 billion retained by ministries, departments, and agencies to sustain essential service. The Speaker, additional inflows from SNET transfers and energy sector levies are estimated at 14.4 billion Ghana cedis, whilst development partners grant will add 3.1 billion to fund key projects. The Speaker, total expenditure on commitment basis for 2026 is projected at 302.6.5 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 18.9% of GDP, up from 251.7 billion Ghana cedis in 2025. Primary expenditure stands at 244.7 billion, or 15.3% of GDP, reflecting targeted spending that drives growth and delivers value. Compensation of employees is projected at 90.3 billion Ghana cedis, ensuring fair remuneration for public servants. The Speaker, 13.2 billion have been allocated for goods and services to improve efficiency across MDS. Right, Honorable Speaker, capital expenditure will rise sharply to 57.5 billion Ghana cedis, or 3.6% of GDP, led by the Big Push infrastructure program, which alone will absorb 30 billion Ghana cedis for road development. The Speaker, interest payments are projected to decline to 57.7 billion thanks to prudent liability management. The Speaker, grant to statutory funds, energy payment, and other essential transfers totals 63.6 billion Ghana cedis, whilst ESLA and IPP commitments are estimated at 19.7 billion Ghana cedis. Overall, the 2026 appropriation stands at about 357.1 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this is a bold yet responsible budget designed to sustain stability, build infrastructure, and improve the lives of every Ghanaian. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to budget balances and financing. Right, Honorable Speaker, the overall fiscal balance on commitment basis is projected at a deficit of 34.4 billion, equivalent to 2.2% of GDP. The corresponding primary balance records a surplus of 23.3 billion Ghana cedis, representing 1.5% of our GDP. Mr. Speaker, on cash basis, the overall deficit is projected at 64.2 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 4% of GDP. The cash deficit of 64.2 billion will be financed from balanced mix of foreign and domestic borrowing sources. Mr. Speaker, foreign finance is projected as a net repayment of 6.6 billion, or 0.4% of GDP. This includes extended disbursement, expected disbursement from the IMF and the World Bank. Mr. Speaker, domestic financing will amount to 71 billion Ghana cedis and will be sourced from long and short-term government securities. Mr. Speaker, the strategy will support domestic market development and ensure their sustainability, as well as maintaining financial sector stability. Right, Honorable Speaker, Ghana's 2025 to 2028 debt management strategy marks a decisive shift to responsible borrowing. With 93.5% of total debt restructured, 20.3 billion in domestic bonds, 13.1 billion in Eurobond, and 5.2 billion in bilateral loans. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is firmly on a sustained path. Mr. Speaker, the strategy focuses on cutting refinancing risk, reducing costs, deepening local markets, and boosting transparency. It revives the bond market, building liquidity buffers, and relies mainly on concessional financing from the IMF, World Bank, and bilateral partners. Mr. Speaker, benchmarks including short-term debt below 15%, treasury bills, and 20% of domestic debt and foreign debt capped at 70%. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the meat. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to the meat. The fiscal policy measures, structural reforms, and key policy initiatives. Right, Honorable Speaker, the choices we made in 2025 have restored macroeconomic stability. build trust in our fiscal institutions, and rekindled the hope of our country. The task before us now is to turn that stability into sustained progress and to make growth felt in every home, every community, and every enterprise. The Speaker, the 2026 budget represents the next phase of our national renewal, a practical, forward-looking plan to consolidate the gains, accelerate transformation, and secure prosperity for all Ghanaians. It is the next chapter in building the Ghana we want, a nation that works around the clock, creates opportunities for all, and protect the dignity and dreams of every citizen. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to reaffirm key priorities for 2026. First, consolidation of macroeconomic stability. Second, we will accelerate economic transformation and job creation. And finally, we will strengthen the security and social sectors for inclusive growth. Mr. Speaker, this budget builds on the stability of 2025 and channels it into action that delivers more jobs, better infrastructure, stronger industries, and better public service. Mr. Speaker, the budget moves Ghana from recovery to transformation and from promises to progress. Right Honorable Speaker, let me now outline the core policy measures, structural reforms, and key policy initiatives that will drive this transformation, each one designed to deliver tangible results, reduce the cost of living, empower businesses, and create decent jobs. First, on the fiscal policy measures and structural reforms. Mr. Speaker, government remains steadfast in the commitment to restore and sustain fiscal stability as the foundation for inclusive growth. Our focus for 2026 and the medium term is to maintain a primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis. We are pursuing a disciplined, data-driven fiscal strategy, one that raises more revenue, spend better, and protect the most vulnerable while safeguarding long-term stability. Mr. Speaker, to achieve our fiscal target for 2026 and the medium term, government will implement a comprehensive set of revenue, expenditure, and structural measures underpinned by transparency and accountability. The Speaker, on the revenue side, government will deepen domestic resource mobilization through the implementation of the medium-term revenue strategy. In addition, government will undertake comprehensive VAT reforms. Will also tighten enforcement of tax arrests and exemptions, ensuring that all eligible entities pay their fair share. Mr. Speaker, these measures are expected to lift non-oil revenue to 15.7% of GDP in 2026 from a projected 15.1% of GDP in 2025. Mr. Speaker, take you to VAT reforms. In 2025 budget and the media fiscal policy review, government made a firm promise to reform Ghana's value-added tax system, to make it fairer, simpler, and more efficient. We pray to remove distortions, addressing the cascading effect inherent in the VAT system, strengthen compliance, and create a tax regime that supports both businesses and fiscal stability. These distortions have negatively impacted overall welfare, increased the deadweight loss in the economy, and significantly reduced VAT compliance. Today, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to report to this House that we have finally delivered on that promise. Mr. Speaker, after months of detailed analysis and broad consultations with stakeholders, we have completed the design of modernized VAT system fit for Ghana's economic transformation agenda. Mr. Speaker, government is therefore submitting to this House today and for approval, Mr. Speaker, a bold package of VAT reforms that will make our tax system more equitable, transparent, and business-friendly. Right Honorable Speaker, the new VAT reforms will do the following. We will abolish the COVID-19 health recovery levy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the decoupling of Get Fund and National Health Insurance levies from the VAT tax base. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish VAT on recognizance and prospecting of minerals. Mr. Speaker, will reduce the effective VAT rate from 21.9 to 20%. Mr. Speaker, will raise the VAT registration threshold from 200,000 to 750,000 cedis. Mr. Speaker, we will extend VAT zero rating on the supply of local manufacturing textiles to 2028. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, we promise to abolish the COVID-19 levy. With the support of this House, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to say that I'm happy to announce that today, COVID-19 levy is accordingly abolished. Mr. Speaker, by abolishing the COVID-19 levy, government is putting 3.7 billion Ghana cedis in the pockets of the individuals and businesses in 2026. Mr. Speaker, these reforms will also reduce the cost of doing business by 5% as a result of subjecting GET-FUN and NHIL levies to input-output deductibility for businesses, Mr. Speaker. Altogether, the VAT reforms is expecting to give back nearly 6 billion Ghana cedis to businesses and households. We'll give it to you. Give it to you. 6 billion cedis, Mr. Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker, the VAT registration threshold has declined in real terms from 200,000 Ghana cedis in 2015 to approximately 48,000 Ghana cedis in current values. Mr. Speaker, this means that small and micro businesses that were exempted in 2015 from VAT registration are now compelled to register and charge VAT. This has placed an undue burden on small and micro businesses and also increased the cost of administering VAT. Right, Honorable Speaker, the increase in VAT threshold is expected to address this problem and make VAT administration simpler and easier to implement. So, Speaker, VAT on mineral exploration and reconnaissance has led to very little investment in minerals exploration over the past 2 decades. So, Speaker, abolishing VAT on minerals exploration and reconnaissance will revive investor confidence, stimulate greenfield activities, and ensure the long-term sustainability of the country's mining sector. Right, Honorable Speaker, this measure will promote responsible mining and help to mitigate the hazard mineral prospecting that degrades our forests and water bodies. So, Speaker, to support the domestic textiles industry, government zero-rated the VAT on supply of local manufactured textiles, which is due to end in December 2025. Government is resolute in supporting the domestic textiles industry, which has demonstrated a capability to expand when given the appropriate fiscal incentives. Mr. Speaker, in line with this and the Ghana Textiles and Garment Policy, government has decided to extend the zero rating to end December 2028, protecting over 2,000 direct jobs. Mr. Speaker, the VAT reforms will make Ghana a more business-friendly economy, create the opportunity for businesses and expansion, and to create more jobs. Mr. Speaker, we are not only seeking to change the policy and framework around VAT, we are also deploying electronic and digital solutions to improve VAT administration. Mr. Speaker, the measures proposed will include the following: the introduction of digital solutions to tax collection system. The second is to introduce the fiscal electronic devices. The third, Mr. Speaker, the introduction of VAT reward schemes designed to encourage general public to assist with policing VAT revenues by collecting VAT receipt for purchases they make. Mr. Speaker, this will allow taxpayers to use their VAT receipt to benefit from a VAT promotion and reward scheme. Right, Honorable Speaker, these reforms mark a turning point in Ghana's value-added tax administration. They will make compliance easier for businesses, strengthen revenue mobilization, and enhance credibility of our fiscal framework for 2026 and the medium term. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Revenue Authority will roll out a comprehensive public education and awareness campaign to ensure a smooth and transparent implementation of these reforms. Mr. Speaker, it honors our pledge to lighten the load on honest taxpayers whilst building a strong, fairer foundation for national development. Right Honorable Speaker, beyond the VAT, government will, ahead of 2027, embark on a comprehensive reform of Ghana's key tax laws, including the Income Tax Act, Excise Tax Acts, and the Customs Tax Act, to align them with global best practices, promote equity and competitiveness, simplifying compliance and enhance revenue generation. The Ministry of Finance will commence these reviews in 2026, engage stakeholders and submit a draft to Parliament as part of the 2027 budget. Mr. Speaker, closing revenue leakages at the port. Right Honorable Speaker, significant leakages at our port continue to undermine revenue mobilization. A recent audit revealed systemic weakness in classification, valuation, and cargo inspection. In 2024 alone, Ghana recorded imports valued at 204 billion Ghana cedis in cost insurance and fleet. Yet, only 85 billion Ghana cedis was taxable, pointing to misclassification and underinvoicing. To tackle this, government will deploy an AI-driven pre-arrival inspection for all cross-border shipment. Mr. Speaker, this technology is programmed to detect undervaluation, flag high-risk goods, and strengthen customs capacity to combat smuggling, improve safety, and protect national security. Right Honorable Speaker, by integrating automation into port operations, we expect to significantly boost customs revenue, enhance trade efficiency, and close long-standing revenue gaps. Mr. Speaker, on the expenditure front, we will continue to rationalize spending by eliminating low-value programs and streamline earmark funds, freeing space for critical priority projects such as roads, energy, agriculture, and education. Mr. Speaker, every cedi saved will be redirected to projects that create jobs and delivers tangible benefit for Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, to achieve this and support the fiscal sustainability agenda, key expenditure measures for the 2026 fiscal year are as follows. The first will be that we'll contain recurrent expenditures by capping non-essential expenditures such as foreign travels, workshops, and vehicle procurement, and elimination of low-impact programs. So, Speaker, we'll rationalize earmark funds, reinforce commitment authorization, continue to strengthen social protection system by safeguarding allocation to LEAP. So, Speaker, we'll prioritize capital investment in infrastructure, particularly in area of big push. Right Honorable Speaker, on the structural reform side, we'll pursue the following. Government will enforce sanctions under Section 96 to 98 of the Public Financial Management Act. The payroll validation exercise led by the Ministry of Finance in collaboration with the Controller and Accountant General will also be done. So, Speaker, comprehensive review and audit of the budget preparation and implementation process will be undertaken. We will implement recommendations from the comprehensive arrest and commitment audit by the Auditor General, aided by EY and PwC. Right Honorable Speaker, will strengthen fiscal discipline and accountability through the operationalization of Revised Fiscal Responsibility Act. Mr. Speaker, we will institutionalize quarterly expenditure reviews. Right Honorable Speaker, together, these measures will ensure that Ghana lives within its means, mobilize resources fairly, and spend efficiently. Fiscal discipline is not an end in itself. It is the bridge between stability and progress, between policy and real improvement in the lives of our people. Right Honorable Speaker, the real value of Ghana's procurement threshold has eroded over time, trapping even small projects in slow, expensive approval cycles. The Speaker, the last review was in 2016. Since then, inflation and currency depreciation have made it nearly impossible for district assemblies, for example, to deliver basic community projects efficiently. The Speaker, the government is therefore updating procurement thresholds under the Public Procurement Act to restore their values and match today's market realities. Right Honorable Speaker, Years of inflation and weak oversight have drained real value from public spending. Too often, projects are overpriced, delayed, or abandoned because scrutiny comes only after money is spent. To fix this, government will establish an independent value for money office, a permanent guardian of efficiency, accountability, and fiscal integrity. Speaker, it will certify major projects before approval, monitor delivery, and evaluate results to ensure every city delivers measurable value. The office will enforce cost benchmarks, require public VFM certificate for contracts, and coordinate with the Auditor General, the Public Procurement Authority, and Internal Audit Agency to impose penalties for waste and fraud. Right Honorable Speaker, the Value for Money Transparency Portal will publish certified projects and citizen feedback in real times. Mr. Speaker, this reform will save up to 3 billion Ghana cedis a year, cut contract inflation, and rebuild public trust. Mr. Speaker, the Value for Money Office is not just another agency. It is Ghana's watchdog for prudent spending and real results. Mr. Speaker, we will be making the following amendment. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's petroleum wealth must work harder for its people. Since 2011, our petroleum funds have earned barely 1% annually. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, it proves that parking them only in low-risk foreign securities limits value creation. To change this, government would designate additional qualifying investment instrument under the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. This will allow a portion of the petroleum fund to be invested in commercial viable domestic energy projects, such as gas and power infrastructure. That would drive industrialization and jobs whilst improving long-term returns. Mr. Speaker, this reforms follows global best practices. Sovereign funds in Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and UAE now channel savings into productivity investment that powers growth. Mr. Speaker, Ghana must do same. The new framework will maintain strict safeguards, transparency, and performance audit to ensure every dollar earned earns real value. Right Honorable Speaker, this is the mindset shift from passive savings and earnings to productive investment, from idle reserves abroad to energy that powers Ghana's future. Mr. Speaker, that is the way we are going to go. Our oil wealth must not sit idle. It must build and must build our country. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to public debt management initiatives and reforms in 2026. Right Honorable Speaker, 2026 marks a new phase in Ghana's public debt management, one defined by foresight, discipline, and innovation. After stabilizing our debt trajectory through strong fiscal performance and debt restructuring, government focus now shifts to building resilience. We are putting in place modern tools and systems to ensure that every borrowing decision supports growth, safeguards sustainability, and protect the public purse for future generations. Mr. Speaker, one of the key priorities for 2026 is to strengthen liability management in the domestic debt management market. Mr. Speaker, upon expiration of domestic debt exchange program restrictions in 21st February 2026, government will re-enter the domestic debt market strategically. Mr. Speaker, the immediate objective is to reduce our dependence on short-term treasury instruments, lower rollover risk, and create fiscal space for productive investment. Right Honorable Speaker, as part of the strategy to re-enter the domestic bond market, government will begin the issuance of domestic infrastructure bonds to fund critical infrastructure in the 2026 budget and beyond. Mr. Speaker, through buybacks, targeted cash management, we will actively smoothing the maturing reprofile of domestic debt and lower interest costs in line with our medium-term debt management strategy. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to key policy initiatives in the 2026 budget across sectors. Right Honorable Speaker, I begin with the energy sector. Energy is the engine of Ghana's transformation. Our goal is to turn power from a constraint into a competitive advantage for every home, factory, and enterprise. Reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy will be the fuel that drives the 24-hour economy, powers industry, lights communities, and creates jobs. Through bold reforms, strategic investment, and smarter management, government is building an energy system that not only keeps the light on, but propels inclusive growth across every corner of our country. Mr. Speaker, I now go to gas to power transformation. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's gas to power strategy is transforming our energy future, shifting from costly light crude to cleaner, locally produced natural gas. This will cut generation costs by about 75%, strengthen energy security, and align with our climate goals. Gas production is rising fast in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, the offshore Cape 3 Point partners, OCTP partners, have expanded capacity from 240 to 270 million standard cubic feet per day, while Jubilee and 10 field partners now supply about 130 from 110 million cubic feet per day. Mr. Speaker, within 10 months, we have added more than 50 million standard cubic feet per day of gas. Right Honorable Speaker, new agreement will add another 150 million standard cubic feet daily, ensuring reliable, affordable fuel for power generation. To process this additional gas for power generation, government is fast-tracking the Ghana Gas Processing Plant, GPP2. Mr. Speaker, this shift means cheaper power, cleaner energy, and a stronger, self-reliant Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, in the medium term, a total of 150 million standard cubic feet of gas per day will be produced by our OCTP and Jubilee partners, enough to generate up to 1,200 megawatts of power, bigger than Akosombo Dam. Mr. Speaker, beginning 2026, government will commence the construction of 1,200 megawatts state-owned thermal power plant to offtake the additional 1,150 million standard cubic feet of gas per day from OCTP partners and GPP2. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, beginning 2026, government will commence the construction of a 1,200 megawatt state-owned thermal power plant to offtake the additional 150 million standard cubic feet of gas per day from OCTP partners and GPP2. This plant will support the provision of reliable and affordable power and secures Ghana's energy future. Mr. Speaker, the 1,200 megawatts is bigger than what our almighty Akosombo can produce. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's oil production has witnessed consistent decline over the years, falling from 71.4 million barrels in 2019 to an estimated 36 million barrels in 2025, almost 50% decline. President Mahama has taken decisive action to reverse this trend. Mr. Speaker, government investor-friendly reforms have already secured over $3.5 billion in new investment commitment. These includes a $2 billion United States framework agreement for the Jubilee and 10 fields to drill 20 new wells and a $1.5 billion United States memorandum of intent with OCTP partners to expand operations. Mr. Speaker, this new investor-friendly environment has also drawn the interest of oil and gas majors, such as Shell, in our upstream industry. This is expected to bring in new capital, technology, and expertise to increase our oil and gas production. Right Honorable Speaker, GNPC will commence drilling for oil on the offshore Voltaire Basin in October 2026. The prospects look good to expand Ghana's hydrocarbon production. Right Honorable Speaker, an upstream regulatory and fiscal review is underway to make Ghana's petroleum regime more competitive, transparent, and stable. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, government will roll out rural electrification acceleration and urban intensification initiative to achieve universal access to power. Mr. Speaker, through a faster turnkey model, it will connect every unserved community, boost rural economies, and drive Ghana's 24-hour economy policy. An electricity intensification program will extend connections to all remaining homes and businesses, ensuring that no Ghanaian is left without power. Mr. Speaker, the rollout starts in Volta, Oti, Savannah, and Central regions in 2026, expanding nationwide by 2029 with off-grid solar to remote areas. Mr. Speaker, electricity will be universal, reliable, and life-changing. Right Honorable Speaker, we will undertake feasibility studies on mini hydro electronic potentials of the Volta, Red Volta, and other southern river systems. Mr. Speaker, through these coordinated reforms, from reviving the upstream oil and gas sector, securing gas supply, renegotiating IPPs, building a national power plant, expanding rural access, and reforming the operations of ECG, we are securing affordable and reliable energy for individuals and businesses. We are not just keeping the lights on, we are lighting the path for industrial transformation, job creation, and inclusive prosperity. Mr. Speaker, I will take you to agricultural sector initiatives. Right Honorable Speaker, agriculture remains the heartbeat of Ghana's economy, the source of food, a powerhouse of jobs, industry, and foreign exchange. Right Honorable Speaker, despite being one of Africa's pioneers in oil palm, Ghana still imports nearly 200,000 metric tons of crude palm oil yearly, costing over 200 million United States dollars. This policy changes that by expanding plantation, boosting refinery and processing, will create about 250,000 jobs. So, Speaker, the goal is clear. 100,000 hectares of new plantation, self-sufficiency in palm oil, and global competitiveness, and creating 200 jobs. Production. So, Speaker, together, these reforms will make Ghana self-sufficient, export-ready, and regional leader in sustainable palm oil by 2032. Right Honorable Speaker, this policy is more than agriculture. It is a blueprint for industrialization, rural transformation, and shared prosperity. Ghana has the land. We have the people. This adds the vision to turn every palm planted into a lasting prosperity. So, Speaker, we will establish farmer service centers. Right Honorable Speaker, under the Farmer Service Centers initiative, the government will provide agriculture mechanization machinery for 50 agricultural districts with over 4,400 different machineries. So, Speaker, to purchase and store the excess food to protect the investment and income of our cherished food, crops, and poultry farmers. The Speaker, that will be processed ASAP. Right Honorable Speaker, President Mahama has also directed that all schools from basic to secondary to purchase rice, maize, chicken, and eggs produced in Ghana only. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, President Mahama has also directed that all schools, from basics to secondary schools, to purchase rice, maize, chicken, and eggs produced in Ghana. Right, Honorable Speaker. The Big Push Infrastructure Program launched under the leadership of President Mahama is Ghana's largest investment in modern infrastructure, valued at the equivalent of 10 billion United States dollars. It is turning fiscal stability into visible progress by building roads, bridges, ports, and logistics. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, 13.8 billion Ghana cedis was dedicated to strategic road projects across all regions, guided by economic returns, equity, and alignment with 24-hour economy. Kumasi Expressway, which is on a new alignment, will reduce current travel distance by 50 kilometers, from 250 kilometers to 198.7 kilometers. Mr. Speaker, the Accra Kumasi Expressway is also expected to have travel time between Accra and Kumasi, reducing transport costs by nearly 40%. Mr. Speaker, the Accra Kumasi Expressway project alone is expected to create over 30,000 direct and indirect jobs during construction. Right, Honorable Speaker, beyond mobility, it will stimulate industrial parks, logistic hubs, and service. We are proving that Ghana can build its way into prosperity. One road, one bridge at a time. Mr. Speaker, this is the era of infrastructure. Ghana will not only build to recover, but will build to transform. Mr. Speaker, Ghana Airport Company will also introduce an airport development fee to rehabilitate Sunyani Airport, construct a new airport at Bogatanga, build a multi-purpose car park and a connecting concourse between the Terminal 2 and Terminal 3 at the Kutuka Interchange. Export of non-ferrous scrap metals and raw rubbers will be restricted under the